stay well, stay well. Oh, I'll lift you up when times are low. I'll see how far we'll go and stay well.
Stay Well Insurance. See how far we'll go.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 6 a.m. this Tuesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. The driver of a 76 fuel truck was in critical condition as of late yesterday afternoon after he was pinned against a concrete pillar when he tried to stop his truck from rolling forward. The accident happened just before 11 a.m. yesterday morning at the 76 gas station in Dededo. According to a statement from the Guam Police Department, the man saw the truck rolling and he stood in front of it trying to stop his truck when he got caught between the pillar and the front bumper of the fuel truck. The driver was unconscious and unresponsive at the scene. He was transported to Guam Regional Medical City. South Pacific Petroleum Corporation, which owns the 76 gas stations on island, said they are conducting an investigation into the cause of the accident. 31-year-old Jonathan Ross Pangilinan is being held on a $100,000 cash bail in connection with the fatal assault of his co-worker, 35-year-old Librick Manglonia. The two AK employees reportedly got into an altercation Friday night following a company-sponsored Mace Chamorro celebration in the parking lot of the Tamuning car dealer. Manglonia and Pangilinan worked together in the car tinting department. According to the magistrate's complaint, medics found Manglonia lying on the ground in the AK parking lot Friday evening in a pool of blood. He had bruises above his left eyebrow, on his forehead, left ear, neck, and chest areas. Pangilinan's court-appointed attorney, William Jones, told the judge yesterday afternoon that his client did not pose a threat and asked for his release under house arrest. However, Magistrates Judge Benjamin Sison ordered Pangilinan to remain in jail pending a $100,000 cash bail. We'll have more news after this.
The stations of Choice Broadcasting are celebrating April 2018 as National Earth Month in the first ever Upcycle Mascot Showdown. We've invited the public elementary 5th grade classes to set the example and build their school mascots completely out of recyclable material. Come down to the Chamorro Village Festival Huts on April 21st from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. for a full day of fun. Support your school's mascot and be sure to vote for your favorite. Judges pick the first place winner. The public votes for the second place winner. Celebrate Earth Month with our students in the Upcycle Mascot Showdown. Brought to you by Leo Palace Resort Guam and The Point.
Special things only come around once a year, and it's time for fish fans to celebrate the return of Wendy's Cod Filet Sandwich. Wendy's uses the gold standard for fried fish, wild-caught Northern Pacific cod, breaded with panko crumbs to a light crisp. Add a new creamy dill tartar sauce and crisp pickles, and you've got the fish sandwich many say is the best of the bunch. Get yours today at Wendy's, located in Tamuning, Barragata, Agana, Dededo, and Naval Base. Wendy's Cod Filet. Now that's better.
11 minutes past 6 a.m. here at The Point. Following concerns that the federally funded Ostumbo Fire Station's closure would risk future federal funds if it remains shut down, the Guam Fire Department announced yesterday that they will reopen the fire station. The PD Fire Station also scheduled to reopen today, according to a statement issued by the Guam Fire Department yesterday. Guam is under a fire watch because of windy conditions in the dry season. The two fire stations were shut down on March 4th while the Calvo administration was trying to show the government of Guam faced what it called dire finances, a problem it blames on the federal tax cuts. Now that a tax increase and a new sales tax have been approved to cover for the projected cash shortfall, the fire stations are being reopened. The fire stations were also vandalized a few weeks ago after they were shut down. Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski arrived on island yesterday morning to meet with island military and civilian leaders. Murkowski chairs the Senate Energy Committee. She's leading a congressional delegation that will also visit Saipan this week. Late yesterday afternoon, she met with Governor Calvo in his office at Adelup for more than an hour. Before her meeting with the governor, she told the Guam Daily Post that she looks forward to learning about the military buildup and its impact on Guam. Murkowski said she wants to gain a better understanding in terms of the federal government's role and how we're doing on timelines. She also said that she's interested in learning about the impact of the buildup, not only on the military side, but the impact to the local people here as well. Today, the delegation is headed for Saipan for meetings with Commonwealth leaders. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Here's Ray with some weather.
If you cannot get on an airplane to Saipan today, it's because everybody in that delegation has taken every available seat on every available aircraft between here and the NMI. What have we got for you on the weather today? Partly cloudy, breezy with isolated showers. Easterly winds up to about 25 miles an hour, diminishing 10 to 20 miles an hour this evening. Daytime highs about 88 degrees. Expected overnight lows today to about 76 degrees. And yeah, it's breezy. We'll watch that through the day as Jalawat moves away from our area. More clouds and showers around Thursday or Friday as the storm turns to the east-northeast and passes north of the Marianas. The fire weather watch remains in effect through this evening. High risk of rip currents through late tonight along east-facing Reese. Plenty of weather for you this morning. Sunset tonight at 6:32. Sunrise in 8 minutes. That's news and weather together here on The Point, brought to you by Bank Pacific, where others put branches, they place roots.
Join the most excellent of egg hunts. Chuck E. Cheese's Guam is holding their annual indoor egg hunts on Tuesday, March 27th from 3 to 7 p.m. Pre-register for the right age group in one of the 4 egg hunts per hour. Bring your baskets to hunt those eggs. Stay and play for the best experience. Call 647-4544 to register or stop in the restaurant and sign up. Excellent egg hunts at Chuck E. Cheese's Guam.
Portions of the program brought to you by my friends over at Kings. Are your friends too? 40 years worth of making sure that you and your family's got someplace to go for your favorites. Always open and always local. It's Kings.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Ray Gibson Show on The Point, also brought to you by First Hawaiian Bank. It all starts with yes.
Every time I travel, there's something from home that I can't leave without. I take my Docomo Pacific Data to Go to share my stories in Taiwan, check subway routes in Tokyo, be my food guide in Hong Kong, meet new friends in the Philippines, make updates in the States, find my way around Korea, and check out all the cool shows in Singapore. It's the data I have in all the places I love for only $10 a day. Data to Go from Docomo Pacific. Better together.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now. 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
There we go. Welcome to the program. Excuse the mess. My name is Ray. That's Ray as in Ray Gibson Show on The Point. Joined with Kevin Kerrigan from the Guam Daily Post. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yeah. And Mike Knight still watching with great fascination the moves that Jalawat is making.
Yeah, the funny thing, they're talking about maybe some rain in the late part of this week as the storm moves north of the Marianas. Here's the rub. This weekend, very little wind, very hot.
Nice.
Get ready for it. Can be very much like summer.
It's coming back around. It's coming back around. It's getting to be that time of year. I was just so amazed at how breezy it was this morning.
Yeah, I know. I was surprised. I thought it was going to die down.
The wind, and yeah, I thought things were going to be dying down. Didn't think it was going to be as rough as it was. But whatever. So just be careful when you're on the roads. Be careful when you're in the water or around the water for sure. And just make sure that you know what you're doing when you're out there. So I was giggling at the beginning of the show. I was looking at all the people that are already up and early on the stream. There's Nick and Brad, Charlene's on, Eunice, cousin Tommy, Carl, and Jerry Gutierrez. Every single morning, I'm on the very first names that we see up there, and it's great because I know that they're listening. It's not just that they got the thing playing. They're actively listening because when I needed to get Hannah Gutierrez Arroyo on the radio yesterday to ask her questions about the test for lawyering. It did not go the way I anticipated it would go.
I remember.
I said so. Uncle Carl got her, and she was able to answer some questions for me. And apparently, it works like this: if you want to be a lawyer on Guam, apparently, you have to have gone to law school.
Makes sense to me.
They won't even let you sit down for the test without coming in with some kind of transcripts. And apparently, the transcripts have to be yours in order to do that. And there's all kinds of other hoops that you got to get to. And so even the idea of, hey, let me just take the test for grins and giggles. No, we're not going to let you do that.
Denied.
You know why? You know why? Because they know I'm going to pass. And they don't want the competition.
Is that what it is?
It is what I say it is.
It's your show. That's why it's got your name on it.
You don't like it? Get your own radio station. Get your own show, and you can say whatever you want to as well. And I'm looking over the rest of the list, and Valerie's there, and somebody who I'll only refer to as juror number 2, somebody that we know got socked into a case.
I've been there.
You actually had the duty, though, right?
I did. I sat on a jury.
And in a case?
I did.
Was it as much fun as you anticipated?
It was worthwhile. I wouldn't call it fun.
You got
it's a serious matter.
That moment in civics, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'd never done that before.
Did you know that the person was guilty just by looking at him?
No.
You had to
to listen.
That's cool. All right, so yay for jury. Oh no, you got to save that. You have to save that. So this might be the most important thing that I talk about on the radio today. And unfortunately, at spring break, the kids are probably not going to hear it. But there is a growing movement. There is an advancing movement of schools that are looking at some studies. And there are some actual studies that are out there that would suggest that there is little or no academic benefit for children up to the 6th grade. No, you're too early. I haven't
Okay.
For children up to the 6th to do homework. Okay, now do it.
That's much better. Yeah, I'm even for that.
So in Canada, and this story barely 20 hours old, a Montreal elementary school is the latest to ban homework. Students at that school are celebrating a new policy that aims to give kids enough time to do all of their work in the classroom. It's what I was telling Sister that in the 60s. Sister Callista, why, I'm here all day. Why now do I have to go home and do some more homework?
Plus, if you don't have to take homework home, then it reduces the risk of the dog eating it.
So. Something about that's the way Jesus likes it. No homework is every kid's dream. Ecole Elizabeth Ballantyne student Nicole Walsh says she is thrilled by the no homework policy at the Montreal area school. Principal Mike Brown says students shouldn't spend 6 hours working at school and then be expected to do 2 more hours of work at home. He says, we want students to be at home, being with their families, their friends, playing, and being children, he says.
You mean they only have to be in school 6 hours there?
God.
Wow.
Canada rocks.
Yeah, time to move, huh?
McGill University professor Stephen Shaw agrees that homework is a major cause of fights between parents and kids, and there's not a lot of evidence that it does anything positive. They're leaving it up to individual teachers and schools right now to decide whether to ban homework. Not everybody agrees it's the right choice, and we're trying to silence their voices as much as possible. We're going to have marches against them later on. Steve Ederle, head of Solomon Schechter Academy in Montreal, says it's important for students to spend time at home reviewing what they've learned. And I'd just like to say, shut up. Shut up, you. Nobody cares what you think.
I have found over time that in a lot of cases, parents are doing their kids' homework, and I don't agree with it. I've actually yelled at a couple of my friends. It's like, what are they supposed to learn by you doing it? Did you not get it right the first time? Do you want to redo it?
I'm totally with you. I remember the day that young Mason came home and showed me some problems with his math homework, and they were beyond me. They were absolutely. I mean, this might have been about the 4th or 5th grade. absolutely beyond me. So this is what I'd like to start the day's thinking with. First of all, I recognize that there are some people out there, real type A personalities, had to get the best grades in class, had to be the teacher's pet, had to be the one. When the teacher said, I'm leaving the room, they wanted to be the ones that the teacher left in charge. I'm talking specifically about Alicia Limtiaco here. But I've known lots and lots of people like that, and they're did you do your homework? Like, pow, arm straight up in the air. Yes, I did. Right? I was never that guy. I was the one. I was doing my homework.
The class clown. Huh?
Oh, definitely. I was and doing the homework on the bus on the way to school. On the way to school, just and hoping against. I'd turn on the radio in the morning. I was also this guy. Turn on the radio in the morning and listen to what was his name. Pick up on the KUAM. There was only one radio station back then, and so you turn on the radio and you would hope on a morning like this that it was as windy as this. You'd go, I hope he says at some point in between the songs, I hope he says, and Ray Gibson, your school blew down last night. So you don't have to go to school. Because everything they're talking about here with the homework, that's me. Now, they're not suggesting that they're banning it forever. They're just saying that between first grade and sixth grade, there's just no real strong positive value to doing it. And why wouldn't it be great to have one less thing to fight with your kids over?
Yeah.
So there. Find me John Fernandez. This is John Fernandez, superintendent of the Department of Education, and see if he's seen some of these studies. And John, if you haven't, I'll send it to you. I'm not a student anymore. This will have no benefit, no bounce for me whatsoever. I'm thinking of the children. That's what I'm thinking of. Do we have that thinking of the children music? I'm thinking of little Johnny, and Tommy, and Susie. And all they want to do is go home and Snapchat with their friends and make their little Instagram stories. But they can't because they got to do suck homework from the teacher that they swear hates them. We got to get a longer music for the children.
Yeah, you were on a roll.
I'm working on it. Yeah. Probably should have written something. That's just all off the top of my head, kids. I'm working for you. We'll see what we can find out. I think it's a good idea. I think it's something we could probably make the case. I could probably make the case with the governor's office here that we could save an incalculable amount of money in overtime. I mean, that's less stuff for the teachers to have to grade, right?
Sure. Less work for the students.
That makes
less
sense
work for the
right
teachers.
there.
There you go.
The whole thing there. I've solved the problem. It's $67 million right there in just not doing homework. Less paper, crap that moms got to buy for the kids at the beginning of the school year. This all adds up at the end of the day. All right. Well, if you don't want to help me out on that, and you're welcome to it, 888-8255 is the telephone number. I just know I'm talking to people right now that are going, man, this would have been a great crusade when I was in school. Well, why couldn't we have done this 35 years ago? Why couldn't we have done this 40 years ago? Man, that would have been absolutely solid. You know why? Because there were probably places doing it in the 60s. Some of these advanced, more liberal schools that were out there challenging the norms and saying, kids should not have to do homework, right? Like hippie commune schools.
Oh, okay.
But because they were hippie commune schools, nobody listened to them. And so now here we are in 2018, and maybe it just makes a little bit more sense with some of the studies that they're going on about. And I'm just saying. All right. So there is actual news. There are actual news topics out there that are worth talking about. One of the interesting ones is they're reopening the Estumbo and the PD fire stations.
Isn't that interesting?
It's interesting is the amount of money they claim to have saved on overtime there. But because in
400,000
in 23 days, they've managed to save $400,000 in overtime. It's on top of the other salaries. By just having those two fire stations offline.
Makes you question the amount of overtime.
Well,
year-round.
Just do the mathematics. I mean, if you annualize that, if we'd have left them closed for a year, we would have saved something on the order of about $6.3 million. And what I'm trying to find out is by percentage, $6.3 million is what percent of the overall GFD budget. And I've been perusing some paperwork that I've got looking for it, and I've managed to find the only PDF in the world that is unsearchable. And so I scroll, and I still couldn't find it. So if one of you out there can help me out, just give me the number. How much was it that was appropriated to the Guam Fire Department in the 2018 budget? And let's think this thing through. $400,000 in overtime in 23 days. That's not the entire personnel cost. That's just the overtime for those two fire stations in 23 days. $6.3 million could have been saved had they left those places closed. Of course, they would have had to sell the fire station. They would have had to sell the Stumbo because Gura said if you're not going to use it for a fire station, you got to find something else for it. You can retask it if there's a department or agency that has things that look like fire station gear that could go in there, or you could sell it. And I'm thinking somebody out there doing some Ghostbuster stuff.
Help pay for the overtime.
Exactly. That $6 million worth of overtime that they would eventually have to go on about. Before we get to the headlines, remember yesterday I was talking about how great social media is and the things that we get to see and the instantaneous nature of communications that we have in this town. And if you've got WhatsApp, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. We're all members of groups that are members of groups that are members of groups. And even though that we may not know each other directly through WhatsApp, we're about, you remember that 6 degrees of separation thing? I think
Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, I think on Guam with WhatsApp, we're no more than 6 WhatsApps away from somebody else.
Less.
Yeah, probably less. Probably less. Maybe it's 3 or something like that. And I got to tell you, when that video of the fella that was pinned by the truck went out yesterday, I couldn't watch the whole thing. I could not watch the whole thing, and all of the media coverage that I've seen have not yet mentioned his name. And it
hasn't been released.
Has not been released yet. And so to this John Doe guy, I want you to know that as far as I'm concerned, I am sure every single person on Guam that saw the footage yesterday is praying for you. I mean, that's one of the things that we were talking about in our chat last night, in the family group last night. We were all talking about this poor fella and asking the questions about what happened, the nature of the injuries, and all of that. And I'm glad that he's over at GRMC. I know they've got equipment over there and personnel that should be able to stitch him back up together. But just know, whoever you are, every single person on Guam was sending thoughts and prayers out to you. Yes, frankly, I had a hard time recognizing some of the buildings behind him. I didn't realize until after I'd seen another post on it that was here. That was a local guy from here. And then it freaked me out even more. So while you're out doing your thing here this morning, you never know what's going to happen. We start the year together, and sometimes you get to the end of the year, and we're all separated, and some of us have gone on to do different things, and some of us have gone on to die. And you just never know when it's going to happen. So a little prayer for you, a little prayer for the people that you love. I think that's going to be a great way to get this Holy Tuesday started. 6:30 in the morning on The Point, and about time for another look at headlines. Kevin Kerrigan in the Guam Daily Post.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 31 minutes past 6 a.m. In the headlines from the Daily Post this morning, Guam Police Chief Joseph Cruz telling senators yesterday he's moving forward with plans to implement an across-the-board furlough for all GPD personnel, both civilian and uniformed officers. Cruz said during an informational briefing called by Senator Talina Nelson, who chairs the legislature's Public Safety Committee, that his furlough plan has been submitted to the Department of Administration. It includes a 32-hour work week that'll mean a 20% reduction in pay for all employees. Furloughs for all personnel will begin June 29th, said Chief Cruz, and continue until September 29th, a total of 13 weeks. He said based on legal counsel's guidance, there is no exception for uniformed police officers. It will apply to all 300 uniform officers and all 66 civilian personnel, he said. Vice Speaker Therese Terlahi pointed out that the fiscal realignment plan submitted by the governor on Friday called for only a $631,000 reduction in GPD's budget. The governor's realignment plan changes the dynamics of what's happening, said Chief Cruz, but until he gets something in black and white or verbal guidance, that's how he's going to move forward, he said. Grammy Award-winning singer Yvonne Element Alexander and her husband, Alan Bernard Alexander, made an initial appearance in Superior Court yesterday as their drug conviction case moves into the sentencing phase. The Alexanders were arrested after arriving from Honolulu on August 15th last year. Authorities found approximately 3.5 grams of suspected methamphetamine and about 3.3 grams of suspected marijuana in their luggage. Their defense attorney, Mike Phillips, said the couple had completed the drug treatment required by the court since last year. The couple is scheduled to be back in court this morning for final sentencing. Phillips said he's asking for a sentence of probation. The owner of the CM Market in Tamuning is asking for the public's help in identifying the individuals she says robbed her store on Saturday morning. Jung Kim telling the Daily Post that 2 men and 2 women came into the store at the Hoffaday Exchange about 9:45 a.m. Just as she was opening up. The 2 women and younger men are seen on the store's video recording, placing a large number of diverse items onto the counter. On another camera, an older man is seen taking a case of canned meat and walking out of the store. He then comes back in and picks up 3 more cases of Spam. Kim was distracted, placing the items before her into bags as the man with the cases of canned meat is seen on the video leaving the store again. She says the 2 women and young man in front of her suddenly changed their minds and decided not to buy anything. She contacted police and is asking for the public's help in identifying those individuals. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
It says iConnect time at 6:33. Connect longer for less with iConnect's push-to-talk mobile and internet plans.
$7 meal from Circle K. Get your choice of 2 Nathan's all-beef hot dogs or a half-pound Nathan's all-beef footlong, a big wrap bag of chips, and any size Polar Pop. That's a giant deal of a meal, all for only $7. Circle K. Take it easy.
Triple J says yes. 0 down? Yes. 1.9% financing? Yes. Easy trade-in? Yes. No payments for 90 days? Yes. We'll have you saying yes, too, to these amazing deals. Like our big boy truck, the Ford F-150 at only $217 per paycheck. Or the top safety pick Mazda CX-5 Sport at only $194 per paycheck. Or turn heads in the Mazda 3 Sport or the sleek and sophisticated Kia Soul. Both for only $129 per paycheck. Visit us online at triplejguam.com. Some conditions apply. See dealer for details. Triple J, customers first.
There is no traffic right now this morning. The breezy conditions have blown them all away. You might be seeing a little bit more extra vehicles, Marine Corps Drive southbound, just before you get to Waisang Song, and then it's clear until you start ramping up towards Guam Regional Medical City. In fact, you'll see some traffic moving in the opposite direction through there as well. Route 8 is in the clear right up until you get to where Pokey Fry is. Yeah, it looks like they're a little bit of a jam. Not a big jam. There's just a lot of cars that are heading to Marine Corps Drive, trying to hit the turn down there. And once you hit Marine Corps Drive, should be clear sailing. Unless you're heading northbound Marine Corps Drive right in front of the Paseo. Looks like you might get a little bit of backup around there. Just a little bit more cars in traffic. But as I said, not seeing anything crazy. 6:35, that's traffic right here in the Point.
Do you suffer from eye strain? If you work at a computer, follow the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, look 20 feet away for 20 seconds to reduce eye fatigue. Ensure you have the optimal prescription for your contact lenses and glasses. Early stages of common eye diseases typically have no symptoms and can only be detected with a comprehensive dilated eye exam. Call Lombard Health today to book an appointment at 989-4747. Guam's best eye care. One patient at a time.
As we journey through the new year, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions, lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network. We humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL, and we are here for you.
The Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Yeah, and keep a line open for John Fernandez, because he's going to call in and say, Ray, what a brilliant idea. Between first grade and sixth grade, we're not going to be doing homework. It's not good for the kids. You know, I dare say, it's not good for the community. I think that we got to free our children from that. Just let them be kids.
He's going to order you to the blackboard and have you write,
Right.
I shall do my homework every night 100 times. That's what he's going to say.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be the first time. Wouldn't be the first time. Anybody that I used to have a teacher that would give me that assignment every once in a while for acting up in class. And he just write 1,000 times, I will not act up in class, on a piece of paper. And what he caught me doing once was I had rigged up a contraption so that I could have 3 pens working at the same time. So I just kind of hold it at an angle, and all 3 of them would write identically, I will not act up in class. So I only had to do it a third of the times.
Brilliant. You learned something there, right?
Dude,
Yeah.
They never bothered making me write those because they knew there was just no hope.
Yeah, bad for good. What can I say? 22 away from the top of the hour, and that will be. I'll make that part of my crusade. Crusade number 1 is getting rid of the god awful, butt ugly chain link fence between Marine Corps Drive on Marine Corps Drive between John F. Kennedy High School and Kmart. Let's do it now. Take it down while the kids
Man,
are.
you said god awful and butt ugly, and I thought you were getting ready to fire me.
No, let's take the thing down. Let's take it down now while the students are off, because I got the spring break thing, right?
They'd never know the difference.
Exactly. They'd come
it-
back and they would presume forever that it's there.
See, what you tell them is...
And they won't cross.
You tell them it's a virtual fence.
Gotcha. There seems to be some good news coming out of the board over at GITA. They're looking at some money coming in from qualifying certificate holders, and think maybe that some of that dough ought to be going towards Guam Memorial Hospital. That's got to sound like good news for Benita Manglotnya. What do you think? Good morning, Benita.
Good morning, Ray.
So, listen, I'm just trying to get up some support here. I want to remove homework from the 1st through the 6th grade in elementary schools all over Guam. Will you back me up on that?
Sure.
Got it. Okay. Well, I've always backed her up on her stuff. I'm just, it's a reciprocity thing. So they're talking about, I don't know, I'm hoping to get a few $100,000 to you, maybe $300,000 from all of these QC holders through these QC programs that they have to be able to fund some of the things that you need over at Guam Memorial Hospital.
Yes, of course. I mean, we submitted more than the $200,000. I was hoping I could get all of the qualifying certificate that is available.
Well, I'll talk to Jay the next time I see him and see what we can work out, because apparently he's the rubber stamp over at GITA that could make that happen for you. The story that I read said that you guys have got your eye on about $2.3 million worth of equipment and supplies. Can you give me an idea, a rough estimate of what some of those things are that you'd like to have at GMH?
Well, it's whatever was on our priority list. We just put it together. Some of the items that are, several $100,000 worth, and the most some of the most pressing needs that we need. Of course, we have over $100 million that we need, but we're trying to take it by pieces that we can.
Now, you got to do this at the same time, taking care of some vendors that are in the 90-day, 120-day. We're at the writing letters to Benita Manglotnya stage. So how are you able to accomplish both of those things, to be able to buy new equipment, to be able to pay off some of your vendors?
Well, with our supply vendors, we try to give them whatever we can, what little we can at a time, and the purchasing of these big ticket items will certainly help, because the payment will go towards those equipment that are urgently needed at the hospital.
Do you have a name of a piece of equipment off the top of your head that you might be able to share with me?
There are, I think it's like EKG, there's a bunch of equipment. I don't have, their medical equipment.
Nomenclature. Well, I remember a couple of years ago, and I don't recall whether we were able to find the money to install it. But you remember when they were moving some older stuff, pre-loved, I think we called it, from the Navy hospital. They said that we can send this over to Guam Memorial Hospital, but some of those items needed some parts and needed specific installation routines in order to make them work. Were you ever able to use any of that equipment that you got from Navy?
I believe so. That happened, before my time, and but I believe that we were able to use some, but of course, it requires a little bit more attention, more maintenance because of its age. There's a reason why they don't want to use it anymore, but it's something that I believe GMH was able to use, make some life of it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was one of those things like when your old man gives you a car, you turn 16 and the old man says, here, drive my car, and you realize that that jalopy needs, it buys the most expensive gas, and you've got to change the oil every month instead of every year, and all of these other needs for the car. But you go, hey, I gave you a car, what do you want? So it becomes one of those things. Is there any good news that you've heard from the Joint Commission?
Not yet. We haven't heard anything yet. So I guess no news is good news, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just ask your vendors. They'll tell you. We all know what no phone call means. So I'm kind of curious as to whether or not they've received all of the paperwork that you've sent them on how we're going to be able to recover from some of the things that were in their last report. And it seems to me that was a while ago.
Yeah, we submitted the corrective action plan. So I guess they're just reviewing it now, and we're just waiting for them to make a decision on that.
Well, I'll keep an eye on things for you. If I get any more good news from Gita or anybody else that wants to help Guam Memorial Hospital out, I'll be sure to pass that along to you.
Yeah, well, you can advocate for me that give me more, because if it's what they're trying to give money for Medicaid, there's appropriation for that, and what DMH need is subsidy. That Medicaid for us, that's payment for services.
Go over that again.
The Medicaid, they were advocating giving money for a match for Medicaid. There's appropriation for that already, and what we need is a subsidy.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, I read the same thing, and I thought it was interesting that maybe if a certain way that we did this, that we could get federal matches on that, effectively doubling the contribution from the qualifying certificate proceeds. I saw that, but you want a full-on subsidy and bigger numbers coming out of the legislature in Guadeloupe in the budget every year.
That for me, that is payment for services. That in fiscal year 2019, we didn't utilize all the matching for us, because a good amount of that went to GRMC, because if you recall, they get paid $5,000 a day compared to our $1,100 a day. So they need more match for that.
Well, maybe you talk to Madeline, and maybe Madeline, or actually, who to talk to about it now is send a note to Siguro Sablan, the Kalili. Yeah, send him a note, because he's running around with Lisa Murkowski right now.
Oh, okay. Well, I met the Senator Murkowski.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ask her to see if we could hook up some better dollars coming out of Medicaid?
Well, that was we met with the governor. That was I believe 2 years ago.
Oh, well, she's back in the Marianas, and as I said, her and her delegation took every single seat that is flying between here and the CNMI effective 2:00 this morning, and she's supposed to be meeting with all the other big shots. I saw Ralph up there and Greg.
We'll fly there and we'll say, hey, Lisa, no, ajuda sa ni GMH, no?
There you go. This is the first things that you need to learn when you come to Guam is how to say Afade and how to say help Guam Memorial Hospital. Put for butt.
Ajuda.
I'm so glad we start the day together here. So I'll talk to you pretty soon, Benita.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I appreciate the time here. It's 6:46 in the morning, and really just the idea that there might be some additional dollars floating around. Qualifying certificates program has gotten kind of stink eye from a bunch of people in the last couple of weeks, and so it is important as the board meets that they take an opportunity working with Jay to see if we can get some of that qualifying certificate proceed money from GITA out to, well, who needs it most? And the squeaky wheel in the last several weeks has been Guam Memorial Hospital. So 888-8255. You want to add something to the conversation? You're more than welcome to. There's a bunch of other folks that we hope to be lining up and talking to today. Although one of them might be Heidi Ballendorf. If I didn't put her name on the list, I meant to. Heidi Ballendorf from GWA. She's got something going on with a. I want to say it's almost like a Hasu Guam. It used to be once upon a time there was a group with the EPA, and they would put together on a Saturday or a Sunday out someplace Hasu think Guam, and the idea was if you had a whole bunch of old paint, old chemicals, liquids that you couldn't possibly in 100 years identify, then you put it in the back of your neighbor's truck and drive that, because you don't want to put it in the back of your truck. You drive it to one of these Hasu Guam events, and then you give it back to them. And they're coming up with something similar here in the next little bit. And I just got the flyer on it yesterday. I'll dig it out and see if I can share some of the details with you and get some splains from Heidi a little bit later on. But I was thinking about GWA. I had to take care of some utility business yesterday, which required me to go to the utility campus up in Jigo.
And stand in line?
Well, the first thing is you drive up there, and it's Route 15, and I'm still not used to it being there, so it doesn't make any difference. This always happens to me. I always pass the entrance. They need to put some bigger signs up there on the way into the GWA and GPA utility campus up in Jigo, because I missed the turn every single time, Heidi.
Sorry about that.
Bigger sign. What do you say? Come on. You know, we could say it's art. We put a big sign up and call it art, and then use the art money that the utilities had to set aside.
It's just such a huge building that I wouldn't think you would miss it. I call it the spaceship that landed.
Yeah, but you can't. It's not from the road. There's boondocks before it and boondocks after it, and the only way that you know you're getting close is the road widens. There's a right-hand turn. All of a sudden.
Okay, well, I will bring it up to the individuals who are in charge of.
Well, let's make this a priority. Let's see if we can do something today. Just saying. I can't
make any promises on that.
Find a commissioner. Find one of the guys that likes me, and we'll just go for it. I know I'm barking out orders today, and no more homework for kids between 1st and 6th grade. What do you say?
Okay, I'm sure that works for parents. I would tell you know.
Right. Well, look, you're the daughter of an educator.
Right.
So was there not always, for you growing up, was there not always pressure on you to get? Did you do your homework? Are you sure you did your homework?
Are you kidding? My dad? Yeah.
Yeah, I knew your old man. I'm sure. I am positive it would have been one of the things. Hi, how was your day? Did you do your homework?
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not really about how's your day. It's like, let me see your grades.
Oh, yeah. So
you did that all the way up into college.
Well, after about the 6th grade, that makes more sense. You know, when we're starting to develop some of these habits and, you know, your own personal workflow. But I think that's going to be my quest for the day. But anyway, so I went to the campus yesterday and was taking care of some business. And I love the feature that they have there. They've got the computer things out in the front, so you go up and you type in, you know, your name, and then they say, what kind of ratepayer are you? And so you click on that, and it gives you these options, right? And so one of the options is over 55, front of the line. And I'm like,
right.
Yes.
I thought you were going to say a very good ratepayer.
As it turns out, you know, I do have a fairly decent name over there. But you press that button, and then there's all these people that are waiting. And guess what? You get to go in front of them at 55 years of age or older.
And that's where we're at, Raymond.
I loved it. I loved that. Normally I'd complain about it. but in this case, it was absolutely terrific. Got in, got everything taken care of, and even managed to put a post on Facebook about it. But at least one of the posters came back and said, and I kind of got to agree with this, is that eventually, because 55, I mean, that's like the new 21, right? And so there's.
We like to pretend like it is.
Well, I don't know about you. You and I can still close up a race, right? We can still get some. We can still got miles under us. But
a little bit, yeah.
But there's the point that this person was making is that it's a fairly large demographic. We used to be 25 years ago the median in this town. So it's still a fairly large demographic that is growing up and moving through this. So it could be that the next time you go up there, or the next couple of times we go up there and go, hey, I'm over 55 and should be at the front of the line. It may just put us in another line with the other old farts.
I don't think so, but
we'll see. We'll see how it plays. But anyway,
the millennials aren't running the place yet.
Oh well, it's let's hold off on that because they're not even smart enough to ask not to do their homework. They've got to leave it to somebody like me to ask for something like that. At any rate,
they don't want to go to work on Mondays or Fridays or.
So now you sent me a thing yesterday, and it's the kind of the don't clog with fog thing, but there's more of a public outreach on this.
Right. What we're trying to remind people now, I know it's a little might seem wow, it's kind of early, but we want to remind people to save their cooking oil, put it in any kind of container, bring it down to Paseo April 7th. We'll be down there collecting. We did this back in October of last year. We collected 500 gallons of reused cooking oil and motor oil. We also take motor oil. I was surprised how many people did come with their old motor oil that they had, gotten from cleaning out the cars or changing the oil in their cars. So yeah, that's going to be April 7th. So that's a little less than 2 weeks away.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be at Paseo at the parking lot there, the really only parking lot kind of left in that area on the beach side. Yeah.
Oh, okay. From 8:30 until 12:30, so 4 hours to get this done, and so start amassing it now. Are there any particular kinds of containers that you prefer to see more of?
No, last time they came in all kinds of containers. The most popular one was, though, we used laundry detergent containers. So there was a lot of like Old Tide. And Downy and all that people had put their oil in.
Right. And so are there any? Is this just for individuals, families, or what about a business down the street that might be able to put together some of this old oil and bring that by to you?
We don't discriminate on any customer. We'll take all the used oil. We want to collect. Last time we collected 500 gallons, so I'm really trying to collect double the amount this time.
Yeah, and if you are a restaurant and you're amassing a lot of oil and you don't know what to do with it on a regular basis, talk with these people. I mean, there's an impact that we don't want you just throwing it down into the sink because what happens is it mixes with the cold water and just like butter gets hard in the refrigerator, same thing, except it gets hard in the pipes and it's unbelievably difficult and stinky process to clean the pipes of those things. Do we have a record size for a fog kind of a fog baby that you've pulled out of the pipes?
Fog glacier. I've seen some pretty nasty ones. I don't have haven't done any measurements on sizes of the fats, oil, and grease that I've seen come out of the system. But yeah, I've seen some pretty galactic ones.
Yeah, and they get big. And here's the problem. Like I said, it's something that starts in the kitchen, and you think, well, it's just it's a hard oil. It's easy to pull out. But it's been mixing with all kinds of other stuff that gets washed down and flushed down, if you know what I mean. So it's not a job that you want. Listen. So Saturday, April the 7th, from 8:30 until 12:30, recycle used oils. What happens with the oil that you recycle? You take that over to GPA?
We work with Unlimited Service Group. They're the only company in Guam right now that deals with these oils. They work with the Harmon Transfer Station and the Agate Transfer Station. They work with the solid, the solid waste. I forget now what they're called, but that's who they work with. So they are licensed to remove or handle all the oil. So they actually it's not going to be me and Vanjie carting off, barrels of oil to the Harmon transfer station.
Well, the reason why I ask is it seems to me that you should be able to put that into the back end of one of the burners over at the Guam Power Authority. I mean, oil is oil, right? It'll mix up with everything and just burn up, won't it?
You'll have to ask them. I don't know how that would work.
Okay,
That's not happening.
bug one of the guys next door over at GPA next time you're in the office and say, "Hey, Bray had this idea. Is that something that we can do?"
I got a list now for you, Ray.
Yes, we have a list of things that Ray Gibson wants. Thank you very much. It's like asking my other sisters, Heidi, I need you to do something for me. I need you to take down that chain link fence at JFK. All right, listen.
Anytime, my friend. Anytime. Did you do the marathon?
No, I did not. I'm training for the half marathon. So I ran.
You're finally getting smart.
Yeah, I want to finish happy. I ran 10 miles, but it was the first 5 miles was north against the wind and uphill. So definitely got a workout and felt like 13. Dude, I'll talk to you pretty soon.
Take care.
I promise. Heidi Ballendorf from GWA, and again, the thing is going to be happening on April the 7th from 8:30 until 12:30. We all want to do what's right for the environment. We all want to do what's right for the system. Hey, that's an additional burden. That's an additional cost that ratepayers gets thrown in with the ratepayer stuff. Is making sure that we are maintaining some of the pipes that we've got, and when these things can get pretty big.
Yeah, yeah. It's a mess.
The fog babies. I want to say that there's a record for one of these things. They had to actually break pipe in order to get the thing out in England.
In England. Yeah, it was like I don't know what 50 pounds or something. I don't know. I'll have to look that up real fast.
Yeah. We'll figure it out unless something else comes up. At any rate, closing in on the last minute and a half of this hour. On the way, a bunch of other stuff that we're going to be talking about. Are we going to start the 1% increase in the business privilege taxes on April Fools? Well, it all depends on how much faster they can get going. Over at Adeloop, BJ Cruz did the mathematics. He pulled out his CC, the Cruz, I'm sorry, not the CC, the CA Cruz abacus, and did the mathematics on it and said, you guys are short by about $1.5 million. Les Carlson says, not sure if you're looking at that the right way. That fund is going to be the beneficiary of something else, so that's why there is an increase. But we did cut $30 million from out of here. It's a little bit fuzzy on the mathematics side, and I didn't do my homework that day, so it'll take maybe a little bit of explaining from one of those two guys to tell me what's up. But in the meantime, it looks like we are off on the increase until we are back on again, until they come to some kind of agreement on that. It is 7 o'clock in the morning, or really close to it. You're listening to KUSG. The radio station is The Point. KUSG Hagutnya. Fox News Live is coming up, and on the other side of that, the amazing and incredible Kevin Kerrigan will give you a dose of headlines, big news from the Guam Daily Post, and more on the way right here on The Point.
Live from New York, the Fox Report.
I'm Rich Dennison. U.S. stocks sharply higher today after several days of big losses last week. The Dow seeing its third largest point gain in history.
The Dow Jones Industrial Average up more than 669 points at 24,202. The Nasdaq Composite up 227 points at 7220. The S&P 500 up 70 points, 2658. Just to give you a glimpse into how big these moves are, the Dow and the S&P up about 2.8%. The Nasdaq up 3.2% today.
Fox's Nicole Pedalides on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. The U.S. and some 20 European countries taking action against Russia for its suspected poisoning of an ex-spy and his daughter in Britain.
The U.S. has ordered the expulsion of 60 Russian intelligence officers from the U.S. and the closure of the Russian consulate in Seattle. In a statement, White House spokeswoman Sarah Sanders said today's actions make the U.S. safer by reducing Russia's ability to spy on Americans and to conduct covert operations that threaten America's national security. A senior U.S. administration official said the U.S. stands ready to cooperate to build a better relationship with Russia, but this can only happen with a change in the Russian government's behavior.
Fox's John Decker at the White House. Russia today again denying any involvement in the nerve agent's use that also sickened a British police officer. The Federal Trade Commission today announcing an investigation into Facebook following the discovery that personal information of millions of its users was accessed by Cambridge Analytica. That data firm was used by the Trump campaign. Meantime, the Senate is asking the heads of Facebook, Twitter, and Google to testify before a committee next month. You're on the Fox Report. Fair and balanced.
Are you waiting too long for a home loan decision? Are you looking for a bank that understands your needs and can close your loan quickly at today's super low rates? Then come no further than Bank Pacific. Our home loan specialists are friends and neighbors from your community, and our decisions are made right here in Hagåtña. Bank Pacific, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, credit conditions apply. Viva Bank Pacific.
Every time I travel, there's something from home that I can't leave without. I take my Docomo Pacific Data to Go to share my stories in Taiwan, check subway routes in Tokyo, be my food guide in Hong Kong, meet new friends in the Philippines, make updates in the States, find my way around Korea, and check out all the cool shows in Singapore. It's the data I have in all the places I love for only $10 a day. Data to Go from Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Another House Republican announcing a decision not to seek re-election.
Pennsylvania Republican Ryan Costello will not run for re-election in November. His suburban Philadelphia district narrowly favored Democrat Hillary Clinton over President Trump in 2016, and a newly drawn district map is expected to give Democrats a larger advantage this year. That new map is one factor Costello cited in an interview announcing his decision. To reclaim a House majority, Democrats will need to flip at least 24 Republican-held seats. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
We're learning more about the Pulse nightclub shooting and his father.
The Pulse nightclub gunman, Omar Mateen, killed by police the night of the attack, might have almost been an FBI informant. This comes from an FBI agent testifying at the federal trial of Mateen's wife, Noor Salman, charged with aiding and abetting. The revelation in court comes hours after Salman's attorneys asked for a dismissal or a mistrial after learning Omar Mateen's father was an FBI informant for longer than a decade, including the time of the attack. Salman's lawyers say they should have been told about this, and failing to disclose it violates Salman's right to a fair trial. They want the case dismissed or declared mistried. In Miami, Eben Brown, Fox News.
Former Pennsylvania Senator Rick Santorum taking heat for comments made on CNN's State of the Union about the weekend demonstrations for gun law reforms.
How about kids, instead of looking to someone else to solve their problem, do something about maybe taking CPR classes or trying to deal with situations?
Twitter users coming out in force to blast the former senator, some saying CPR won't help those hit by bullets. An Army veteran from Chicago who served 2 tours in Afghanistan, has been in the U.S. since he was 8, has been deported to Mexico because of a 2008 drug trafficking conviction. I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News Radio.
It's super, stupendous, it's sensational. It's a sensational seafood menu at Ruby Tuesday with satisfying selections of appetizers like lobster mac, crispy flatbreads, Italian cheese dip, and stuffed shrimp. Try them all and enjoy the selection of sensational seafood for a limited time at Ruby Tuesday, Guam.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
The stations of Choice Broadcasting are celebrating April 2018 as National Earth Month in the first ever Upcycle Mascot Showdown. We've invited the public elementary 5th grade classes to set the example and build their school mascots completely out of recyclable material. Come down to the Chamorro Village Festival Huts on April 21st from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. for a full day of fun. Support your school's mascot and be sure to vote for your favorite. Judges pick the first place winner. The public votes for the second place winner. Celebrate Earth Month with our students in the Upcycle Mascot Showdown. Brought to you by Leo Palace Resort Guam and The Point.
Yes, money is something we should talk about and plan for and use to make life better. It's how we make our giant leap from where we are to where we want to be. So let's talk together and work together to check off shiny new kitchens, fully nested dorm rooms, and bucket lists with more countries than our passports can hold. Let's check them all off together. First Hawaiian Bank. It all starts with yes. Member FDIC.
Special things only come around once a year, and it's time for fish fans to celebrate the return of Wendy's Cod Filet Sandwich. Wendy's uses the gold standard for fried fish, wild-caught Northern Pacific cod, breaded with panko crumbs to a light crisp. Add a new creamy dill tartar sauce and crisp pickles, and you've got the fish sandwich many say is the best of the bunch. Get yours today at Wendy's, located in Tamuning, Barragata, Agana, Dededo, and Naval Base. Wendy's Cod Filet. Now that's better.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 7 a.m. this Tuesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Speaker Benjamin Cruz has sent a letter to Governor Eddie Calvo advising that the fiscal realignment plan that he submitted last Friday falls short of the minimum $30 million required for the business privilege tax to take effect this coming Sunday. The governor's plan was submitted to the legislature on Friday. It calls for a total of $42 million in cuts, but the speaker writes that it's unclear where the $42 million figure comes from. Speaker acknowledges only $30 million in cuts, but he maintains that the net spending reduction adds up to only $28.5 million because there's a $1.5 million increase in the GMH Pharmaceutical Fund. Acting BBMR Director Lester Carlson disagrees, telling the Post that the plan does cut $30 million. He says the temporary increase in the business privilege tax that is supposed to take effect Sunday will yield $1.5 million for Guam Memorial Hospital. GMH, by statute, receives about 6% of the business privilege tax. Carlson says the speaker is counting that against the $30 million in cuts, but he argues the $1.5 million for GMH is unavoidable. GMH is the beneficiary of the temporary tax increase by law. I understand what the speaker is saying, said Carlson, but I don't agree with it. 31-year-old Jonathan Ross Pangilinan appeared before a Superior Court magistrate judge yesterday, where he was ordered back to jail on $100,000 bail in connection with the fatal assault of his co-worker, 35-year-old Librick Manglonia. The two Atkins Kroll employees reportedly got into a fight Friday night following a company-sponsored Mes Chamorro celebration in the parking lot of the Tamuning car dealer. Manglonia and Pangilinan worked in the car tinting department. According to the magistrate's complaint, medics found Manglonia lying on the ground in the AK parking lot in a pool of blood. He had bruising above his left eyebrow, on his forehead, left ear, neck, and chest area. The complaint states that Pangilinan told police that they'd been drinking and they were hanging out in the parking lot after the company party with two women. He accused Manglonia of becoming belligerent and headbutting him. A video recording of the incident reportedly shows the two men arguing, then coming to blows, with Pangilinan knocking Manglonia to the ground. Medics performed CPR at the scene, but Manglonia was unresponsive, and he was later pronounced dead at GMH. Pangilinan's court-appointed attorney, William Jones, told the judge that his client did not pose a risk. He asked for his release under house arrest. However, Magistrate Judge Benjamin Sisson ordered Pangilinan back to jail pending $100,000 cash bail. We'll have more news after this.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care. Our island, your health plan.
GPSI Guam is a professional services company that is a registered contractor for the federal government. They're an SBA, 8A, and Hub Zone certified SDVOSB, providing program/project management, administration, technical support, logistics, and commodities. Find out more about GPSI and how they can help you today. For large prime companies, contact GPSI if you need assistance in meeting your small business subcontracting goals at 477-3058. They'll be happy to assist.
12 minutes past 7 a.m. here at The Point. Following concerns that the federally funded Ostumbo Fire Station's closure could risk future federal funds if it remains shut down, the Guam Fire Department yesterday announced that they will reopen the fire station. The PD Fire Station also scheduled to reopen at least partially later today. The two fire stations were shut down on March 4th in what the Calvo administration said was a cost-cutting move in the face of a $47 million or $67 million cash shortfall following the federal tax cuts passed by Congress in December. Now that a tax increase has been approved to help cover for the projected shortfall, the fire stations are being reopened. Employees at Guahan Academy Charter School finally got their paychecks yesterday morning, according to Board Chairwoman Faye Valencia Valles. Guahan Academy employees were not paid on Friday as scheduled because the funding came too late for a payroll service company to process. The charter school has had problems with finances and faces a possible reduction in funding support from the government of Guam. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Here's Ray with some weather.
Thanks. 7:12 in the morning. Here's what you need to know for right now. Partly cloudy skies, breezy conditions, and isolated showers are in the forecast for today. Winds will be out of the east, blowing up to 25 miles an hour. That means that you have to put the cover on the trash can good. Otherwise, your trash is going to be all over the neighborhood. The winds ought to die down a little bit to about 20 miles an hour later this evening, maybe even slightly than that. Highs near 88 degrees and overnight lows of about 76 degrees. Sunset tonight at 6:32. The only other two alerts that we need to let you know about: the fire weather watch remains in effect through tonight. High risk of rip currents through late tonight along east-facing reefs. My guess is that both of those are probably going to be regurgitated and run through at least the end of the week. We've got those high winds that are really whipping things up on the eastern side of the island, so stay out of the water when you're up there. 7:13, that's news and weather together here on The Point.
Are you a veteran or on active duty looking for a home loan and VA eligible? Then Bank Pacific stores are open to you, where we are a VA-approved preferred lender. That simply means we can give you faster credit approvals and loan closing. And with today's super low rates, you just can't go wrong. Bank Pacific's My VA Loan, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, credit conditions apply. Viva Bank Pacific.
Hake. I didn't turn on the microphone there. Portions of the program brought to you by our friends over at King's Restaurant for 40 years, serving Guam favorites to families just like yours. Always open, always local. That's King's Restaurant.
I'm a working mom and could really use more hours in my day. Thankfully, my non-electric Kinetico water treatment system has simplified my life. It's easier to clean my home with Kinetico conditioned water. No more scrubbing tubs or wiping water spots. Cleaners work better and last longer. And all the Kinetico drinking water we want is right here. No more lugging home bottled water. All this, and I'm saving money too, thanks to Kinetico.
American Water Tech. Smarter water. Better water. Call American Water Tech at 649-2301 or email info@americanwatertech.com. Oh, you got to get whatever the system they got for your under the sink. You got to get one. It is a life changer. It's like going from not having a waste disposal to having a waste disposal. It's like going from a refrigerator with no ice maker to one that has an ice maker. It's one of those life-changing home devices. And if you're thinking about selling the house, could actually add some value to it. Subway's got your fresh choices for Lent, sink sink your teeth into the classic tuna or indulge in the mouthwatering greatness of our seafood sensation. Or try the tasty Veggie Max, a delicious vegetarian patty free of artificial colors, artificial flavors. Visit any of our convenient locations today at Subway. Fresh is what we do.
At GTA, we believe you deserve better than home internet with hidden data fees. That's why all our internet plans are unlimited, because binging movies in bed shouldn't make you want to hide under the covers when the bill arrives. So the choice is yours. Bill shock with the other guys, or a life unlimited with GTA. Say goodbye to hidden data fees and make the switch today. GTA, your island, your network.
News to fill your mind. Talk to get it out. The Ray Gibson Show.
You know, I'm not alone here, right? Michael Knight, pressing the buttons, answering the phone, 888-8255. Kevin Kerrigan with the news. And a growing army of people that join us on Facebook Live every single morning. Great to see Juanita there every day. And this is kind of concerning here. It's less than 24 hours ago, and you'd think that I might have remembered better. But Mary Castro writes, she says, Ray, your parting remarks yesterday terrified me because, unfortunately, it's true. And I, honest to Pete, cannot remember what my parting remarks were yesterday. Do you? You were here? What did I say?
I was vaguely here yesterday.
Was it
at that point in time? Yeah, it just, you know.
Get ready to punch out.
I got
news? Is the Fox
visions
playing
of
it?
fairy plums and stuff.
It seems to me that my sequitur out yesterday had to do with the upcoming gubernatorial election.
Yes.
And asking the question, is anybody going to vote for Ray Tenorio? And that sounds like an awful thing to say, doesn't it? Well, nobody's going to vote for Ray Tenorio. The reason is because he's running unopposed on the Republican side into the primary. Frankly, he only needs to have 4% of the votes cast, right?
And you remember last week he was leading in the poll.
Exactly. So he's going to get the right number of votes to move forward. And the theory here that I have, and Democrats will tell you this. They will say, we're the party of inclusion. We're the big tent party. We love it to have all kinds of other people come over and investigate our candidates and our platforms and our philosophies and our policies and yada, yada, yada. But the truth of the matter is, nothing annoys a real Democrat, and I know because I've got them in my family, nothing annoys a real Democrat more than when a Republican comes over and votes for the weakest team in the primary. They hate that. They absolutely hate that because they've got a sense that the four teams that are running out there in the primary, they've all got a sense of which one is the strongest team, which one is the one that's most likely to get it, and those guys are not going to get the Republican crossover votes. Those guys, the Republican crossover votes are going to go to the mumps guys in your party. That's what's going to happen, and they absolutely hate it. They will never admit it publicly, but they absolutely hate it when we do it. Now, the only thing that I didn't say was who I consider to be the mumps team on the Democratic side.
Yeah.
Not going to do that.
Yeah.
Not going to do it. It's whoever it is that you're thinking of. Yeah, maybe that's right. Maybe that is who I think is going to be the mumps team moving through this primary on the Democratic side. But that's where it was, and maybe that's the thing that scares Mary because she knows that it is true as well. Who else is on? Rico is there. There's Valerie Lynn from over at Frank's office, and Lillian and Mutkus Cruz, who says, Rayman, I am here. And a couple of other interesting things that people are writing about, saying, you don't really believe that funny math, do you, concerning the savings claimed by closing those stations? Brad, I need to be convinced, and maybe we'll see what we can get in terms of convincing. All right, the music in the background means that I need to be talking about what happened on the markets today. Dow Jones Industrial Average, 24,202, and a rally, 669 points. And we haven't seen a one-day sneak up like that since 2008. is the big deal. And so if everybody was all worried it was going to be doom and gloom, and maybe all those interviews with the porn star about Trump were beginning to shut down the forward momentum, hey, it's a hiccup. It's the market. It'll do that. Biggest one-day point gain since 2008, erasing some of the market's huge losses last week. More to go before it gets back to 26,000, which is, for me, the high water mark that's in my head. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of days. It's one day, so it's not exactly a trend. All right, some of the other numbers on the markets that worth looking at. The NASDAQ at 7220, closing up as well. This is even bigger by percentage, 3.26%, 227 points. And the S&P 500 closed to 2,658, up by 70 points, or 2.72%. How's the Nikkei do? Nikkei's banging as well, 20,766, up by 148 points. Any other numbers that I like to look at? I didn't. Okay, hold on a second. Let me scooch down on a couple of things. I'm going to try to multitask here. People that say that they're kings of multitasking, they're full of crap. Nobody is good at that. There's a very small, very finite percentage of people that are any good at it, and you're not listening to one right now.
But isn't it funny how that was the wave back in the 90s?
Well, I want to multitask.
Multitask. That just means you're not doing anything 100%.
So they also gave us Tamagotchis in the 90s, too. So there's a portion of me that kind of wants to
But there were Power Rangers as well.
Right off that. Ooh, Yellow Ranger.
No.
Sorry. 65.55 for West Texas crude. It ain't going to be good enough. Those of you in the mainland are having a hard time right now. I understand the price of gasoline has gone up to the mainland, and I won't give you the number because it just ticked me off to hear it. I heard Trilby on one of the newscasts yesterday. I'm going, you're kidding. You're complaining about that? Tapas at $70.44 for a barrel of that. It is a matter of time. I'll tell you this right now. It's $70.44. That is up from where it was a couple of weeks ago. I was talking about 65, 66, 70.44. It might be today. If your car is anything less than full, go to the gas station right now and buy it at March 27 prices, because I've got a feeling, I've got my spidey senses tingling, and it's telling me that it's probably going to be scooching up here in the next couple of days. All right, the other numbers that we look at here, just real quick, the yen to the dollar, 105.41. Big stories they're following on Bloomberg, etc. First come, first serve. Trump will let some student loan borrowers erase their debts. Well, good for you. I always thought that was a modern form of slavery anyway. How to download a copy of everything Facebook knows about you. I'm not so sure if I'm really worried about that. Well, anyway. And the rest of it is just little small-time stuff that we're not going to have to worry about too much. 7:23 in the morning. So that's what happened in the market. There's my editorials on where I think a couple of things are. And now it's time for Jerry Roberts to bring you this morning's Extra Point.
When you question a leader, is it a challenge to their authority, or just an effort to learn more, think more, do more, and become more? I'm Jerry Roberts. Let's get the answer to that question next on the Extra Point. The question I just asked is a loose interpretation of a statement made by John Maxwell, who wrote a book entitled Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. Maxwell believes that if we don't ask questions of our leaders, we actually cheat ourselves. Cheat ourselves? How so? From getting a deeper understanding of what we're being asked to do, of where the leader is directing the organization, of our mission, of the daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly objectives we're told are important, and of the intricacies and details of the job we're doing. Would a few questions help us figure all that out? But what if our boss is the kind of person who doesn't like questions? You just do what I say, never mind the questions. In my experience, this is because the leader either doesn't care what you think and only wants it done his or her way, doesn't think there is a better way, or is unsure of their own ability and would have trouble answering questions. The worst scenario is when a manager feels that a question is an effort to challenge their authority. This gets down into ego and self-esteem issues, and there isn't enough time right now for that. I just hope it's not happening where you are. Questions put managers into a great position, that of a teacher, helping workers to clarify positions and enhance understanding. If I work for you,
Please help me to know and then help me to grow. What comes out of that will be good for both of us. Questions allow us to build ideas and build on the ideas of others. Questions challenge the status quo. They open the door to potential and growth. In the idea business, 1 + 1 = 3, maybe 4. Get as many as you can. Great ideas come from a pile of good ideas, and we can make an idea great by tossing it in the middle of a bunch of people who really want to work on it. Add something, take something away, turn it backwards, or even upside down. If you're a manager or business owner, you should rejoice that people in your organization ask questions rather than just sit there and stare back at you. Make a list of questions today about your job or project, or a process, or overall direction, about how it can be improved. Then, hey boss, I have a couple of questions. Got a minute? That's the extra point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3, I'm Jerry Roberts.
Nice. Another home run there. If you love what you hear when Jerry does it, you can download the transcripts of all of these. They're available at guamtraining.com or thepoint.gu. Go to the radio station website, and if you click on air, Jerry Roberts' blog, or not his blog, but his personality page will pop up, and that has links to all of it. I think it's got links to his LinkedIn. I think it's got links to his Spotify's and Jerry's own Snapchat, which is very good. You should see the pictures of Jerry with the little flowers and the little
and the
bunny
cat
nose
sitting on his head.
Oh, it's so pretty. Anyway, so check that out right now. 7:25. We'll be right back.
This KFC chicken is great. Shrimp. Hey, who are you calling shrimp? KFC's new shrimp burger. It's great.
Howdy, folks. KFC's Colonel Sanders here. Try our new shrimp burger and all our seafood items available this season. KFC Food Kelliquin, breaded shrimp, seafood salad, and of course, we can't forget your one and only favorite KFC original recipe chicken.
All right. I need to try KFC's new shrimp burger. Good, because you really are shrimp. Hey, a 5-7.
KFC, it's finger-licking good.
How about some traffic here, 726. Now, the last time I told you about traffic, there really wasn't hardly anything, and that's changed now. You might see a little bit of a slowdown as you get into the front gate of Anderson Air Force Base, seeing a few cars lined up out there. Marine Corps Drive, obviously, coming out of Dededo southbound, is beginning to build up. You might see, headed up to Wysang, you might see build up moving in the opposite direction. Odd, but then, hey, it's traffic on Guam. It's always different, except when it's the same. Coming down Route 3 towards GRMC, you might see some traffic there. Northbound traffic leading up to that intersection is also getting kind of heavy as everybody is starting to make their way in. What's happening on 14 Alpha here? That's the road that connects between PIC and JFK and the Kmart area. Upbound traffic towards Marine Corps Drive. It looks like we've got a couple of snags through there. 727. That's a quick look at traffic here on The Point.
When the power goes out on Guam, the little things can become surprisingly big. Small comforts are often the things we miss most during a power outage. That is why Kohler built the fastest responding generator sets in the industry. Whether you are at home or away, a residential Kohler generator will enable you and your family to live life without interruption. Kohler gas, LPG, and diesel power systems are available from Morrico Equipment, LLC on EPAL Road. Call 649-1946. That's 649-1946.
Yeah, we're going to change out Jerry's bio picture on the page to one of his Snapchat deals. You've seen him, right? You ever do the Snapchat thing? You don't have a Snapchat on your phone, do you?
I do not. I got enough.
You're like Kevin Sirius Kerrigan.
Oh, give me a break.
You got enough junk, enough distractions on the phone, right? You don't need another one.
Yeah.
So Snapchat's it's a fun thing.
Twitter and Instagram, Facebook. That's it. Forget the rest.
What you do with Facebook is Twitter, and I think there's certain filters on Facebook that you can use live too
on
as well.
Messenger,
right?
You can do all of the little Snapchat.
You can, yeah, because they're the same company anymore, aren't they?
Right.
Yeah. So the big one ate the small one. Yeah. So you can do that. So what's fun to do here is you put it on television, right? So you get the Snapchat filters and you point it at the legislature, like the legislative channel, and then you can put all those different filters. Like yesterday would have been perfect because the shot on J.I. was like on him. It was close enough so that you could do that with your Snapchat. and make him with the bunny ears,
or put the cat on his head.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Make your own meme. Huh?
Sure. And when you do that, we'd like you to save the video and send it to me, raygibsonshow@gmail.com, and we'd be able to use that in our Facebook and all of the video features that we've got here at the radio stations. Golly, 7:30 already. There's so much junk piling up on my Instagrams and my WhatsApps and the Facebook page. I really got to dedicate some time to it. So do it on the other side. If headlines are going to take care of that now with Kevin Kerrigan.
Alpha Day and Good Morning Guam. News time here at The Point is 31 minutes past 7 a.m. In the headlines from the Daily Post this morning, 31-year-old Jonathan Ross Pangilinan being held on $100,000 bail in connection with the fatal assault of his co-worker, 35-year-old Librick Manglonia. The two AK employees reportedly got into a fight Friday night following a company-sponsored Mace Chamorro celebration in the parking lot of the Tamuning car dealer. Manglonia and Pangilinan worked there in the car tinting department. According to the magistrate's complaint filed yesterday, medics found Manglonia lying on the ground in the AK parking lot Friday night in a pool of blood. He had bruises above his left eye, on his forehead, left ear, neck, and chest area. Pangilinan's court-appointed attorney, William Jones, told the judge yesterday that his client does not pose a risk, and he asked for his release under house arrest, but Magistrate Judge Benjamin Sison ordered Pangilinan back to jail pending $100,000 cash bail. Speaker Benjamin Cruz has sent a letter to Governor Eddie Calvo advising that the fiscal realignment plan falls short of the minimum $30 million required for the business privilege tax to take effect this Sunday as scheduled. The governor submitted the plan Friday. It calls for $42 million in cuts, but the speaker writes it's unclear where that $42 million is coming from. Speaker acknowledges only $30 million in cuts, but he maintains that the net spending reduction adds up to just $28.5 million because there's $1.5 million increase in the GMH Pharmaceutical Fund. Acting BBMR Director Lester Carlson disagrees, telling the Post that the realignment plan does cut $30 million. He says the temporary increase in the business privilege tax that is supposed to take effect Sunday will yield $1.5 million for GMH. GMH, by statute, he says, gets about 6% of the business privilege taxes. Carlson says the speaker is counting that against the $30 million in cuts, but he argues the $1.5 million for GMH is unavoidable. The hospital is the beneficiary of the temporary tax increase, he says. I understand what the speaker is saying, said Carlson, but I don't agree with it. Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski arrived on island yesterday morning to meet with island military and civilian leaders. The senator chairs the Senate Energy Committee. She is leading a congressional delegation that will visit Saipan as well this week. Late yesterday afternoon, she met for about an hour with Governor Calvo. And before her meeting with the governor, she told the Guam Daily Post that she's looking forward to learning about the military buildup and its impact on Guam. She said she wants to gain a better understanding in terms of the federal government's role and how we're doing on timelines. She also said she's interested in learning about the impact of the buildup, not only on the military side, but the impact to the local people here as well. Today, the delegation is headed for Saipan for meetings with Commonwealth leaders. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
That woman's going to gain 10 pounds while she's out here. Because they had a spread. I went to a reception for her last night, and they had a spread, and this was all of our best. I don't want to call it fiesta food, but it was some of the best, like really good food that you get at funerals. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. So they had all of that, and they had a special plate that had because the Native Alaska Corporation that we were at, Frontier. Aaron's place, but not for much longer. Our buddy Aaron is going to be moving his family off island. Going to stay with everybody, but he's just going to be hanging out in the mainland. Anyway, it was nice to meet you, Aaron. Thanks for listening to the program. Listen online when you're out in Bremerton. But anyway, they had this plate there that had moose sausage.
Oh wow! Did you try some?
Alaskan specialty?
Oh, yeah. I was sitting next to BJ, and every time BJ turned around, I'd swipe some more off his plate. Yeah. I assume that it is a specialty in Alaska. Isn't that where this... And
the moose comes from.
Oh, I'm going to make up more stories. Sarah Palin shot the moose that this stuff came from. That's what we had to tell everybody the next time we're goofing off on that. Hey, listen, 7:35 is iConnect time. Hop on over. There's still time to take advantage of this. Hop on over to iConnect and receive a free gift and automatic entry to win an iPhone 10 when you sign up a 12-month plan from now until Easter Sunday.
I'm a working mom and could really use more hours in my day. Thankfully, my non-electric Kinetico water treatment system has simplified my life. It's easier to clean my home with Kinetico conditioned water. No more scrubbing tubs or wiping water spots. Cleaners work better and last longer. And all the Kinetico drinking water we want is right here. No more lugging home bottled water. All this, and I'm saving money too, thanks to Kinetico.
American Water Tech. Smarter water. Better water. Call American Water Tech at 649-2301 or email info@americanwatertech.com. I don't know if I want to be talking about eating moose sausage and then going into a commercial about the new mushroomy thing they've got over at Wendy's, so maybe I'll do Cold Stone this time around. It's time for your Cold Stone break. Okay.
No, you can make ice cream from moose as well.
Well, you can make, you can do all kinds of stuff with moose. That's a handy prepper animal, but you got to be careful. Because, the moose has been known to chase human.
They're a little ornery.
Yeah, because you've seen what they look like with the things.
Well, I used to watch, Bullwinkle a lot.
It's time for the Cold Stone break. Try the new strawberry shortcake and fresh lemon pie ice cream. This is how you get to be world famous and renowned. If you're the new guy in the office and you've got something coming up for Easter, or just because you want to impress your new workmates, swing by Cold Stone, get a tub of this stuff, one, the other, both. And bring it into the office. Or be selfish, have it by yourself. Mix it in with your favorite fruits and nuts and candies and the Golden Oreo cookies, which are also made from moose. Cold Stone Creamery at Guam Premier Outlets and the Micronesia Mall.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
I got 7:36 on the clock. Portion of the program is brought to you by Security Title. When you need to find out and have somebody actually double and triple check that you have the title on the property that you think you just bought.
Join the most excellent of egg hunts. Chuck E. Cheese's Guam is holding their annual indoor egg hunts on Tuesday, March 27th from 3 to 7 p.m. Pre-register for the right age group in one of the 4 egg hunts per hour. Bring your baskets to hunt those eggs. Stay and play for the best experience. Call 647-4544 to register or stop in the restaurant. And sign up. Excellent egg hunts at Chuck E. Cheese's Guam.
7:38, 7:39, and time for a look at traffic. This will probably be the last one before you get into the office, if that's where you're headed this morning. As usual, northbound, southbound traffic on Marine Corps Drive. A little bit tricky up around Waisangsong and getting towards the intersection of Route 3 and Marine Corps Drive. Into and out of Tumon shouldn't be a major problem. I've got southbound traffic in Tumon lingering around Reef Hotel. Might be a few additional cars in traffic. Southbound into Tumon from around Mezcla Dos, also showing some signs of a little bit of building up. What's this over at, I don't know, is this over by King's Restaurant? Heading towards the ITC building intersection from about Ruby Tuesdays and through King's. A little bit of traffic up there. Is there a sale over at Cost You Less? Is that what's going on? Do they have eggs? Is that what it is? And looks like a little bit of a snag coming off of what is that road there? The one that leads up to St. Anthony School. Anyway, it looks like there might be a little bit of a slowdown there. Otherwise, I'm not seeing any red lines here, and that's a good thing, which means traffic should be moving fairly smoothly for most of you out there today.
It's super, stupendous, it's sensational. It's a sensational seafood menu at Ruby Tuesday with satisfying selections of classic entrees like the fish trio and new favorites like lobster carbonara or seafood pan roast. Try them all and enjoy sensational seafood for a limited time at Ruby Tuesday Guam.
Oh, dude, we got to get into some serious talk radio stuff here this morning. It's almost 8 o'clock. I am told that the Les Carlson is on his way to the studio so that we can spend a couple of minutes discussing now what seems to be, what might be a difference of opinion on whether or not they have done their homework over at Adelup. There was yesterday, and I think the reason why they did it yesterday and looking at the numbers was because there was not quite enough fireworks that came out of the oversight and the conversation between Telen and the legislators and J.I. Cruz from the Guam Police Department. I think there were a lot of people that were sitting around waiting for the fireworks to get lit off. And you know what? It just didn't happen. It didn't happen down there. There were a couple of moments where I don't even want to say that things got loud. They didn't. I think it was just a question of either side trying to make their point about what it was that they were talking about over at the legislature yesterday. There's some questions about the spend at the Guam Police Department. How come you didn't hire these guys? Have been giving you money, and there were answers to that question. The majority of the questions, though, towards the end of the time where I was paying attention, were more along the lines, if you will, of the questions that I would have asked if I was up there. So we've closed the Agana precinct, and we've taken some of those bodies and sent them to the Department of Corrections. And there seems to have been some savings on overtime and personnel costs at the Department of Corrections, but we worry at the detriment maybe of the detriment to public safety that we've got. And so we could take these guys off the streets and maybe detail them someplace else, as opposed to having them chauffeur people back and forth at the Department of Corrections. Maybe there's other that they can do, and so they have been augmented now by other uniformed officers. And there's a concerns over at the legislature on whether or not these guys are going to be able to write reports, are going to be able to stand up in court. So there was a lot of that conversation. I don't know that they ever got down to any kind of answers, but that's where it was. And as I said, not a whole lot by way of fireworks over at the legislature. I think if you want fireworks, you got to bring in Les Carlson. That's what who we just brought in to the studio. Welcome home.
Good morning, Guam. Good morning, Ray. Good morning, Kevin.
I think you and I were doing a little bit of traveling at about the same time.
I heard a rumor that you were seen in Makati.
Yeah, I was seen in. I was seen in Makati, which is if that's okay to be seen in Makati. It's not okay to be seen in certain parts of Malate, if you know what I mean. But it's good to be back home and chewing on some of the same ground. And so yesterday, I was saying yesterday we started getting some paperwork coming out of Speaker Cruz's office that said that the numbers didn't quite match up, and that they were expecting $30 million in saving because that's what the law had prescribed, and the numbers after they did the abacus only came up to about 28.5 or something like that. And so I thought maybe it'd be a good idea to get you in the studio and talk about the nature of that discrepancy and what Adelup's next steps are going to be.
Okay, well, thanks, Ray, for the opportunity. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the Speaker. When I first got wind of his concern, I ran into Kevin, who just happened to be up at Adelup, and got my team together, and we put a little bit of paperwork together to walk him through what we did. It wasn't until later that I actually read his letter. His letter is actually very well put. It just raises a concern, and at the end it says, because of the critical nature of this law and the need to ensure its effective date provision is not challenged in courts, I respectfully ask that you amend your fiscal realignment plan to reflect the net appropriation reduction of $30 million as required by law. And I took that, it's Holy Week. We all have a lot to be thankful for. I took a step back, and I said to myself, you know what? Okay. I think Kevin's story was fair. I get his point, but I don't agree with it because I walked Kevin through the issues of general fund. Okay, so we did cut $30 million in general fund expenses.
Okay.
The Speaker acknowledges that 2 or 3 times in his letter. A byproduct of the increase of BBT is that, as has mentioned a couple of times on the radio, is that GMH gets a little bit of a bump. And that therein lies what his concern is. It's like, okay, well, because we approved a 1% increase in BPT, which raises revenue by $24.6 million. That delta needs to go and be reflected in what goes to
the pharma fund.
Yeah, so it went from 15.7 million to 17.3 roughly. So there's your $1.5 million. So I haven't spoken to the governor. This all came about after 4 o'clock. And as you had reported, he was with Senator Murkowski.
Right.
And so I haven't sat down to discuss with him what we're going to do. But I will tell you that for us to not take this money and by law, by function of law, give the additional 6.19% to GMH would kind of goes against everything the governor's been doing the last 3 years when you're talking about something for the hospital.
Well, yeah. And so that's where it becomes interesting for me because, as you say, as a function of doing one thing and there's an increase in the BPT, there is going to be, and I don't want to call it a windfall, there's some additional money that would be going to help the Guam Memorial Hospital. So from the accounting side, how do we accomplish both so that it does not appear like the general fund revenue has gone up now by this percent that you now have to, because we could whittle this thing down even further, but how do we make it so that it does not appear as that much of a windfall? How do you write that? Because as you point out, you were able to see $30 million worth of reductions in what you're going to be sending to the department and departments and agencies, right?
Right.
That's done.
That's done.
Okay. So how do we address this additional $1.5 million?
I got to go back and confer with the governor and the fiscal team on just what it is that Adelupe's position is going to be. But the couple of, again, Holy Week, right? So throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Could you find another $1.5 million? I mean, if you really needed to, could you find another $1.5 million from what you've already cut to ameliorate this issue?
I don't think we have to. See, that's the problem.
I know it.
Okay. So if we can agree that with the speaker, that. First and foremost, again, the tone of his letter was, for me, refreshing. We've been through a lot lately, and it's just nice that he's looking forward to saying, I just don't want this challenged. So, okay, fine.
There were no statements like Adelupe is where math goes to die. He didn't
you know what? Wait, time out. Reverse that, because for some people that I've been dealing with for the last month, math is spelled M-A-F. It's a moral math, man. So
we're all watching the same shows.
Yeah, and that's why you're laughing, because you've seen it.
And so in the spirit of Holy Week, all right, fine. So we don't have to do it, but how do we?
I want to. We want to put it to bed.
Yeah.
So I'll go back and speak with the governor and fiscal team, and maybe this is one of these kind of issues where maybe a phone call. And people talking to people instead of people writing letters is appropriate. Where maybe we can find a middle ground and we can agree on what the proper solution is, so that there aren't any concerns. So what transpired a couple of weeks ago isn't challenged. So I think that's where we're probably going to be headed. But,
right.
It is kind of an odd situation to be in.
Right.
On one hand,
made the cuts, and we found and we recognize that there's going to be additional dollars that we can send into a fund that will help Guam Memorial Hospital, and that was the conversation that we were having before the Trump tax cuts conversation. So let's see if we can do all of this without, as you say, throwing out the baby with the bathwater. Yeah. So it's just a question of being able to do all of that. It might be a little bit tricky. I'm wondering if there's a way that you could take and book that revenue maybe outside of this fiscal year.
Again, this exercise is
exercise. It's like a case study when we were in college, right?
An act to repeal and reenact the budget law. So this is the budget law. So we know we have $67 million less general fund revenue coming in. And again, the problem is the general fund, right? And so what we need to do is we need to be able to officially pass policy that reflects the reduced revenue. And again, thank you very much, for the BPT increase. And we need to show the increase. So we've done that. We took both entities or both areas that needed to be addressed, and we addressed them. It's just a function of law that we have to deal with.
Right. So at some point, maybe a letter from the Attorney General's office that says this is what it is, or maybe the new guy Byrne and let him write a letter that says this is how we're going to recognize this money. I'm sure there's some kind of accounting acrobatics that you can do so that will not show up against the $30 million that you're trying to reduce.
Yeah. Well, like I said, again, Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. The letter on at least 2 occasions acknowledges, and in your press release, acknowledges that we did cut the 30.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Was that the number that you needed to get? So, at the end of the day, we're talking about $67 million that we've got to account for less of in the 2018 budget. We've got a 1% increase in the BPT that will take us to about 25. Okay, that's the theory.
24.6.
24.6. So the balance of that then is going to be coming off of $30 million there, and then it seems to me we might still be short about $12 million.
Right, and that's where we went ahead and we took the 2% set aside for deficit reduction, and we removed that. So in essence, that money's available for appropriation.
I see.
So as I mentioned to Kevin yesterday, and it's been, the practice.
It's available for appropriation, but it's not there.
Not yet.
Okay.
Because we're only 6 months into the fiscal year, so you need to be able to collect the revenues to be able to
disperse it.
Yeah. So, but in the past, because we had a shortfall in the cost for retiree medical, dental, life, the legislature has appropriated that money to be able to fund the shortfall for the contracts for the medical insurance companies. So it's not something we haven't done, and we did get a surplus in the last year. We're very, very certain we're going to get a surplus this year. So we feel that it's a prudent thing to do. If we were tracking in a manner that didn't show that we were going to have a third surplus, then I think we would probably remiss. But all these cost-cutting things that we've been doing has certainly helped to be able to achieve a surplus in 18. So we're a lot of what it is we're doing, including
a surplus in 18.
Yeah. Well,
didn't think we'd hear anything like that.
Well, think about it. Once we cut. And we did things to hold back cash allotments to UOG, GCC, Judiciary, everybody
as they've
else.
said, yeah.
Right, and everybody, and Ray, I can't tell you that how much we appreciate the cooperation, because we didn't get any blowback from anybody. People understood. They understood, and they said, okay,
it's the way we'll run.
We'll be a team player, and thank you for all that cooperation.
Well, you had your mic on.
Yeah, even though the law doesn't require passage of this fiscal realignment plan, the legislature still has to act to make these cuts a reality, don't they?
Well, see, that's the thing. It is in bill form, and maybe the speaker wants to just be able to have some agreement on what it is that ultimately gets put forward to the body for consideration, because we really shouldn't be operating, after everything that we know, with Public Law 34-42 as our budget.
Right.
We really should make these things, and we really should incorporate the projected revenues for BPT for the rest of the fiscal year. So I think it's incumbent upon them to act on it.
But you're going to carry forward with these cuts no matter what.
Yeah,
you can do that regardless of whether the legislature takes any action.
Correct, but it just there's another story.
The budget is the function of the legislature.
But we also have people who are looking at us like bondholders and rating agencies, and they want to see that we've done what we're supposed to be doing, that we're fiscally prudent, that we've addressed the situation, and it's embodied in law.
Right.
It's one thing for Mr. Byrne and myself to be able to go before people and say we're holding back cash allotments. We're holding things over at BBMR allotment releases. We're not allowing for people to touch things because we put it in reserve. That's operational function, but remember, when you're guided by a law that the legislature passes and the governor as the chief executive administers, the law as embodied here, then I think everybody will have a better sense of Guam reacting positively to the lemons and making some really good lemonade.
It should help us on the outlook, at least at this point.
Yes, and it really does make a big difference. I know that people sometimes are not aware of the scrutiny and how it can affect us down the road, but you're
one of the Bond brothers. You're one of the guys that goes out there and does the
marketing.
I'm the
only one left, actually.
Last man standing, right?
I'm just kidding. We work as a team, right? But the thing about it is, getting this business up and running and maintaining it, and then being able to understand that if you have some needs and you need to go back and leverage something, that you're going to get favorable terms. It's important to you. It's important to the gourmet coffee business. It's important to everybody. And I just think that with the increase in flights that we're getting, with some of the positive news that we're getting on the rest of the economy, with the ribbon cutting for that $8 million project in a Sing-Song area, and then the $45 million project that we already know is awarded.
And the whole rest of the military buildup that we know is coming. I can't disagree on that. I got just a few minutes before 8 o'clock, so I wanted to hit a couple of bullet points. Number one, the 2017 tax refunds. You're going to be able to address anything like that anytime soon. Now, if I recall correctly, the fights were in reverse order: the tax cuts, Guam Memorial Hospital, and then tax refunds, and trying to get some money out to be able to go out on the market to borrow money for tax refunds.
Tax refunds.
Was a January fight.
We've been making tax refund payments as cash allows.
Yes.
So now with April fast approaching, and then people making their payments, it'll be able to give us the ability to start really making some inroads and addressing 17 returns that were filed beginning.
Because we're just about done with 16, right? Does anybody? What's the number on how much is left from 2016?
That's a John Camacho.
I thought you guys had the hive mind. I thought one guy knows the other guy knows.
What I do know is that we need to start making some inroads in paying the 17 returns.
Sure.
So that'll probably begin in earnest very soon, with the infusion of cash that we're going to be getting from
April 17th is tax day here on Guam, and that means that there's going to be a whole long line of people that the Department of Revenue and Taxation, hopefully they bring some cash with them and some checks and start making some payments against that, bring some money into the house, and you'll be able to use that to support operations, obviously. But again, by law, you still have to maintain tight timelines on payments for tax refunds. All right, now the CR, the Consolidated Revenue Expense Report that came out last, you'd sent a copy to BJ, and I took a look at it, and the front page of it, of the different spreadsheets, are where it seemed to me I saw the biggest and most drastic drop between February of 2017 and February of 2018, about a $6 million difference, but that was because of Section 30 payment that we got last year that we did not get this year. Leaving us with only about $1.5 million, $1.6 million worth of a deficit between year over year from February to February.
We're reporting Section 30 in a different format. It's bean counter accounting.
Right,
stuff,
right. Well, I'm just trying to. What I was looking for was I wanted to see whether or not the predictions of this dire effect of the Trump tax cuts was going to be visible.
It is
based on the numbers.
It is.
With that $6 or $7 million shortfall because of the Section 30.
It wasn't Section 30.
It wasn't just that. Okay. So this is the question I wanted to ask, but nobody was around.
Section 30 really. We used to just deal with it in like November CRER, and so now if I'm stating this correctly, we're taking it through the whole course of the fiscal year, so you'll see it apportioned. Okay, the budget had $68 million. We actually got 77.9. So from a budget approval standpoint and actual cash receipt, we exceeded that.
Right.
What we did, though, in the February
just speed
CRER,
up. Yeah, I'm looking at the clock.
Okay.
It's about 15 seconds. I'm not sure if I'll get the answer off the air and explain it to everybody else. Les, I appreciate you coming in this morning and illuminating this on me. And we'll talk about it some more and see what the next steps are going to be, because it sounds like we're talking friendly now between and the legislature. We'll keep that going in the spirit of Holy Week.
Happy Easter, everybody.
KUSG Agana.
I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The Dow erasing about half the ground it lost last week and its biggest gain since August of 2015. Investors appear to be encouraged by signs Washington and Beijing are willing to negotiate on trade.
The Dow Jones Industrial Average up more than 669 points at 24,202. The Nasdaq Composite up 227 points at 7220. The S&P 500 up 70 points, 2658. Just to give you a glimpse into how big these moves are, the Dow and the S&P up about 2.8%. The Nasdaq up 3.2% today. On the Dow Jones Industrial Average, 29 of the 30 Dow components were in the green.
Nicole Pedalini's with the Fox Business Network. The Federal Trade Commission confirms it's launched an investigation against Facebook.
In 2011, Facebook signed a consent decree with the Federal Trade Commission over privacy violations, agreeing to get consumers' consent before enacting changes that override their privacy preferences. So did Facebook violate that?
If the respondent violates that agreement, then the FTC can go in and check to see if, in fact, that violation has occurred. And that is likely what probably happened here.
That's former FTC prosecutor David Griggs. This all came to light after British data and election strategy firm Cambridge Analytica was able to obtain data on roughly 50 million Facebook users in 2014 through an app that used a psychological quiz. It gave them data, though, from the quiz takers' Facebook friends as well, without their knowledge.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. This as the Senate wants Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg, as well as the leaders of Twitter and Google, to appear before a committee. A federal judge in Florida rejecting a defense argument for a mistrial for the widow of the Pulse nightclub shooter. Lawyers for Noor Salman said prosecutors didn't disclose key evidence, including that Omar Mateen's father was an FBI informant. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Triple J says yes. Zero down? Yes. 1.9% financing? Yes. Easy trade-in? Yes. No payments for 90 days? Yes. We'll have you saying yes, too, to these amazing deals. Like our big boy truck, the Ford F-150 at only $217 per paycheck. Or the top safety pick Mazda CX-5 Sport at only $194 per paycheck. Or turn heads in the Mazda 3 Sport or the sleek and sophisticated Kia Soul. Both for only $129 per paycheck. Visit us online at triplejguam.com. Some conditions apply. See dealer for details. Triple J, customers first.
On April 14th, join Bank of Guam for the first ever Hagåtña City E-Fit Run and Block Party to benefit the Guam Cancer Care and the American Cancer Society Guam. This event begins with a sunset run through our capital, starting at 5 p.m. at the Chamorro Village, and the excitement continues at our block party with food trucks, beer garden, live entertainment, and the greatest beast competition, and a fun-filled kids zone. The Hagåtña City E-Fit Run and Block Party, Saturday, April 14th, brought to you by Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
Dozens of Russian diplomats told to pack their bags and leave the U.S.
The U.S. joined more than a dozen European countries expelling dozens of Russian diplomats, a punishment for the poisoning of an ex-spy in Britain Russia is blamed for carrying out.
We want to have a cooperative relationship. The president wants to work with Russia, but their actions sometimes don't allow that to happen.
Deputy White House Press Secretary Raj Shah says the poisoning in the U.K. was brazen and reckless. In addition to expelling 60 Russian officials from the U.S., the Trump administration is also ordering the Russian consulate in Seattle to close. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
The mayor of Atlanta says the city continues to operate despite ongoing troubles caused by last week's ransomware attack. The interview with adult film star who claims she had a relationship with now President Donald Trump brings big ratings for 60 Minutes.
The 60 Minutes sit-down with adult film star Stormy Daniels brought the ratings sunshine to CBS, easily topping the night and nearing the sit-down post-election numbers with Barack and Michelle Obama in November of 2008. Sunday night's interview grabbed close to 21.3 million viewers. These are preliminary numbers. The Obamas attracted 24.5 million viewers, with all three segments devoted to the president-elect and his wife. Daniels' interview easily ranks as the highest rated in a decade, crushing President Trump's post-election chat in 2016, which garnered 16.4 million. The show got an assist lead-in from March Madness. Michelle Polino, Fox News.
A tribute to fence to be installed at Prince's famed studio and home as officials prepare to mark 2 years since his death. The fence to be put up inside the grounds of Paisley Park, where Prince died from an accidental painkiller overdose on April 21st, 2016. It'll also display fan messages and items from Prince's archives. Lisa Lacera, Fox News Radio.
Chili's has the seafood you crave, the flavors you love, at a great price with our 3 for Me Lent menu. For just $15, you can get a beverage, fresh salad, and a Lent-friendly entree. First, choose from a refreshing Coca-Cola, iced tea, or Heineken on draft. Then enjoy a fresh house salad right before you indulge in your choice of a mouth-watering entree, like our spicy shrimp tacos, savory Cajun pasta with shrimp, or our flavorful grilled ancho salmon. Chili's 3 for Me Lent menu for just $15. Available for a limited time. Chili's, more life happens here.
Howdy, my name is James Moylan, and I'm running for a seat as your senator. The people of Guam expect more from their leaders, and I intend on delivering. If given the opportunity, I will bring my experiences in the military, public, and private sectors. I understand that during challenging times, tough decisions and an open mind are needed. Your tax dollars also need to be spent wisely. If you expect more from your elected officials and expect them to think outside of the box, then I humbly ask for your support this November. Thank you.
Paid for by the committee to elect James Camacho Moylan for Senator, Carlos Camacho, Treasurer.
Yes, money is something we should talk about and plan for and use to make life better. It's how we make our giant leap from where we are to where we want to be. So let's talk together and work together to check off shiny new kitchens, fully nested dorm rooms, and bucket lists with more countries than our passports can hold. Let's check them all off together. First Hawaiian Bank. It all starts with yes. Member FDIC.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
GPSI Guam is a professional services company that is a registered contractor for the federal government. They're an SBA, 8A, and Hub Zone certified SDVOSB, providing program/project management, administration, technical support, logistics, and commodities. Find out more about GPSI and how they can help you today. For large prime companies, contact GPSI if you need assistance in meeting your small business subcontracting goals at 477-3058. They'll be happy to assist.
Hafa and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 8 a.m. this Tuesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Guam Police Department Chief Joseph Cruz telling senators yesterday that he's moving forward with plans to implement an across-the-board furlough for all GPD personnel, both civilian and uniformed officers. During an informational briefing called by Senator Telina Nelson yesterday, she chairs the legislature's Public Safety Committee, Chief Cruz said his furlough plan has been submitted to the Department of Administration, and it includes a 32-hour work week that'll mean 20% reduction in pay for all employees. He said furloughs will begin June 29th and continue until September 29th, a total of 13 weeks. He said based on advice from legal counsel, there is no exception for police officers. The furlough will apply to all 300 uniformed officers, he said. Furlough should save about $1.19 million during the last quarter of 2018, said the chief. However, Vice Speaker Therese Terlahi pointed out that the fiscal realignment plan submitted Friday by the governor only called for a $631,000 reduction in the police department's budget. The chief acknowledged that changes the dynamics of what's happening, but he said until he gets something in black and white or verbal guidance, this is how I'm going to move forward, he said. Grammy Award-winning singer Yvonne Elliman Alexander and her husband Alan Bernard Alexander made an initial appearance in Superior Court yesterday as the drug case against them moves into the final sentencing phase. The Alexanders were arrested after arriving from Honolulu on August 15th last year. Authorities found about 3.5 grams of methamphetamine and about 3.3 grams of marijuana in their luggage. Their defense attorney, Mike Phillips, says the couple has completed the court-ordered drug testing and drug treatment programs. The couple is scheduled to be back in court this morning for final sentencing. Phillips said he is asking for a sentence of probation only. We'll have more news after this.
Wendy's welcomes the new Smoky Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger, featuring smoky, sautéed portobello mushrooms, melted Asiago cheese, crispy applewood smoked bacon, and crunchy fried onions atop a juicy beef patty. For those craving the same great taste, Wendy's Smoky Mushroom Bacon Potato is also loaded with sautéed portobello mushrooms, cheddar cheese sauce, and crispy applewood smoked bacon. Here, for a limited time, get a delicious Smoky Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger and Smoky Mushroom Bacon Potato today. Wendy's. Now that's better.
Are you a veteran or on active duty looking for a home loan and VA eligible? Then Bank Pacific stores are open to you, where we are a VA approved preferred lender. That simply means we can give you faster credit approvals and loan closing. And with today's super low rates, you just can't go wrong. Bank Pacific's My VA Loan, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, credit conditions apply. Viva Bank Pacific.
11 minutes past 8 a.m. here at The Point. 31-year-old Jonathan Ross Pangilinan being held on a $100,000 cash bail in connection with the fatal assault of his co-worker, 35-year-old Librick Manglonia. The two Atkins Kroll employees reportedly got into a fight on Friday night following a company-sponsored Mace Chamorro celebration in the parking lot of the Tamuning car dealer. Manglonia and Pangilinan worked in the car tinting department at AK. According to the magistrate's complaint filed yesterday, medics found Manglonia lying on the ground in the AK parking lot on Friday night in a pool of blood. He had bruises above his left eyebrow, on his forehead, left ear, neck, and chest area. Pangilinan's court-appointed attorney, William Jones, yesterday told the judge that his client did not pose a risk, and he asked for his client to be released under house arrest. However, Magistrate Judge Benjamin Sisson ordered Pangilinan held pending posting of a $100,000 cash bail. The driver of a 76 fuel truck was in critical condition as of late yesterday afternoon after he was pinned against a concrete pillar when he tried to stop his truck from rolling forward. The accident happened just before 11 a.m. yesterday morning at the 76 gas station in Dedido. According to a statement from the Guam Police Department, the man saw the truck rolling and he tried to stand in front of it and stop it when he got caught between the pillar and the front bumper of his truck. The driver was unconscious and unresponsive at the scene. He was transported to Guam Regional Medical City. South Pacific Petroleum, which owns the 76 gas stations on island, said they are conducting an investigation into the cause of that accident. For those stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Here's Ray with some weather.
So Yvonne Elliman is back in town?
She is.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is great. No, just how great would it be, right? And if I was the judge, I'd ask. This is what I'd ask for. Yvonne Elliman, you're back in town, and we'll expunge everything. We'll get rid of all of the charges, anything that we've held against you before. We will wipe away in the eyes of the law. Mm-hmm. If you do a special Easter Sunday show with the highlight of it being her version of I Don't Know How to Love Him from the Broadway show.
A free concert.
I'm just saying.
It's an idea.
But it's just that one song, too.
Yeah.
I mean, from that song from Jesus Christ Superstar by Yvonne Elliman on Easter Sunday on Guam. It would perfect to raise some money for the children. You know you want to do it. You know you want to ask. You know you want to call Mike Phillips and make it so. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to have one of the stars from Jesus Christ Superstar sing the song here on Easter Sunday at Mass. Wouldn't that be cool? We'll pack the rooms again, like in the old days. All right. So on the weather front, partly cloudy skies and breezes with isolated showers. Easterly winds 20 to 25 miles an hour. Should decrease as the sun goes down. Highs near 88 degrees and overnight lows of about 76 degrees. Fire weather watch in effect through the evening and a high risk of rip currents through late tonight along eastern facing reefs. right? It's dangerous out there. It's churning. You see the white caps. Stay out. Sunset tonight about 6:32. Sunrise tomorrow morning. I'm going to put about 6:19 because that's the way it is. That's news and weather together here on The Point.
Are you a veteran or on active duty looking for a home loan and VA eligible? Then Bank Pacific stores are open to you where we are a VA-approved preferred lender. That simply means we can give you faster credit approvals and loan closing. And with today's super low rates, you just can't go wrong. Bank Pacific's My VA Loan, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, credit conditions apply. Viva Bank Pacific.
This portion of the program brought to you by King's Restaurant for 40 years, serving families their favorites like yours. All the food that you like, when you like it. Always local, always open. It's King's Restaurant.
The stations of Choice Broadcasting are celebrating April 2018 as National Earth Month in the first ever Upcycle Mascot Showdown. We've invited the public elementary 5th grade classes to set the example and build their school mascots completely out of recyclable material. Come down to the Chamorro Village Festival Huts on April 21st from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. for a full day of fun. Support your school's mascot and be sure to vote for your favorite. Judges pick the first place winner. The public votes for the second place winner. Celebrate Earth Month with our students in the Upcycle Mascot Showdown. Brought to you by Leo Palace Resort Guam and The Point.
On April 14th, join Bank of Guam for the first ever Hagåtña City E-Fit Run and Block Party to benefit the Guam Cancer Care and the American Cancer Society Guam. This event begins with a sunset run through our capital, starting at 5 p.m. at the Chamorro Village, and the excitement continues at our block party with food trucks, beer garden, live entertainment, and the Greatest Beast competition, and a fun-filled kids zone. The Hagåtña City E-Fit Run and Block Party, Saturday, April 14th, brought to you by Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
Morning talk that matters. The Ray Gibson Show. Call now. 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
I hear that. 8:16 in the morning. Let's get this thing going, my friends. Tuesday, right? That's it. We haven't made it any further. Short week for some people. We're still going to do a morning show on Friday until it stops being fun.
It's going to pass quicker than you can imagine.
Probably.
Every week does around here.
Anything else happening that over at the legislature? Like I said, we didn't get any fireworks from the JI conversation, and Les didn't give us any fireworks here. We're all talking nice because it's Holy Week.
More hearings today. We'll find out.
I suppose. Hey, you know what it's time for, though? It's time for Sports with Blake. The incredible Blake Watson makes his way to the studios of The Point from the studios at Star 101 to update us on all of the big sports deals that were going on while we slept last night.
Yes. So the 2018 Youth Games basketball competition. I want to differentiate these two here. The 2018 Youth Games basketball competition will get underway today at the Teads High School gym, in their brand new gym, and the St. John's School gym as well. The format's going to be a single round robin, 24-second shot clock. Final seed ranking will be decided based on the win-lose record after the round robin games. You've got a 12 and under division, 14 and under division, and a 16 and under division. And the championship game will be at 1 p.m. on Thursday. Now, I said all that to say there's also 2018 All-Island Middle School boys basketball tournament that tipped off last night at the Guam Elite Basketball Center with the top middle schools from both public and private taking to the court. So we got two different what am I trying to say, basketballs going on at the same kind of age group, but last night was more of like a like an all-star tournament, and Stumbo Middle School defeated the St. Paul Warriors 38-23. Kyle DeLeon had 7 points to lead the Stumbo scoring attack, and then today is when that Youth Games basketball round robin tournament kicks off over at Teads and St. John.
Okay.
So, yeah, we got a couple things. It's a break between third and fourth quarter, and coming too close to the end of the year. So right now they're just doing a lot of tournaments.
Gotcha. And so the other thing that is going on, and there was apparently some big game in the college basketball world yesterday, and that finally knit up the lineup for the Final Four.
Yes, the Final Four: Villanova, Loyola, which is that's a big story. The big Cinderella story this year is the 11th seed Loyola from Chicago, as they make their way into the Final Four. Villanova, Kansas, and help me out here. There's another one.
I'm lost.
West
I know
Virginia. West Virginia.
Yeah, I know the last three schools. No surprise at all. They've been in the thick of things for the past 3-4 seasons, right? 3-4 years. But the Loyola, that's kind of a new and exciting wrinkle in the whole thing.
So that's the reason why everybody's brackets are all messed up.
Yeah.
That's
No,
why
no,
everybody's
thinking of
destroyed.
that. And there's also Sister Jean, who is kind of turned into the kind of the darling of the tournament. She is an elderly lady from Loyola, and Sister Jean, she's just been a fan forever, and says it just makes me so happy that we brought joy into this nation that needs so much joy to experience these days. So that's what Sister Jean said. It was Michigan, by the way. So it's Loyola, Chicago, Villanova, Michigan, and Kansas are your final four.
Wow.
Gotcha. So our very close friend, your personal friend Josie, is asking on Twitter this morning. I don't know if you follow Josie on Twitter.
I do.
And Josie's asking, what is your go-to game on the phone? Now, we were talking earlier, and just for the record, Kevin Kerrigan does not have Snapchat on his phone.
Oh, Snapchat.
What a tragedy.
Oh, just like Rihanna, Kendall Jenner, and now Christina Milian.
But if he did, I'd eat a bug. That's so completely would be so out of character if he has that. But do you have a game on your phone? Do you have anything that you play that when you're waiting for something to happen over at the legislature?
What kind of games do you have on your phone? When do you have time to play games?
A second. I'm trying to think of it. My daughter might have put something in here, but I don't think so.
No Fortnite? You're not playing Fortnite like all the other kids?
No, not on that page. There's nothing there on that page. No, I have no games on my phone. I don't have anything like
either.
that.
We're in the same boat.
Yeah.
I don't have any either. That's kind of odd, right? I really don't.
Clearly, the four of us are absolutely no fun at all.
I don't have any games on my phone either.
Good Lord.
And I
did
the same phone.
Yeah.
So you'd think that with our cool
somewhere
phones,
around it, I would have something to occupy my time when I'm done. See, the problem is my Facebook feed refreshes. I mean, it's a completely different feed every 20 minutes. So I can go from Facebook and then read up something on Twitter and then go back to Facebook, and I've got a whole new lineup of messages for me. So I could literally sit there in Facebook for an hour if I wanted to, which would be the time. The only time I can't do that, obviously, is on a plane. I did once upon a time have Tiger Woods Golf from Electronic Arts on the phone that I had at the time, but I enjoyed playing it, but it wasn't all that. There's backgammon. I like to play that every once in a while. I think I've got that on one of the iPads, which is fun.
I used to have a dart
21.
game.
I like Blackjack 21.
Oh yes, I used to have a dart game on like the iPhone 2. Way back.
So you throw the phone?
Game.
Is that the way it works?
You just kind of flick it up like that.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah,
I did download a game at one time. It was a Clue, a detective game. But then after 3 or 4 moves, it said, you've run out of time. You'll have to pay $5 in order to continue paying. So then I deleted it. That was enough for me.
Josie, I'm sorry. Maybe they're just not helping you out here. And it's odd because we've got a big demographic spread here. We're not all over 50 in the room. We got Blake Watson. So you would think that somebody and I don't want to say millennial.
No, that's
Generation
okay.
Z.
I'm a self-proclaimed millennial.
Is that what you are?
Yeah. They redistricted. They did a redistricting,
gerrymandering the numbers.
They redistrict the generations, and I now fall into millennial. I was a millennial anyway, and I'm one of the few that have always stood by the fact that I'm a millennial. Other millennials, it's funny. Older millennials, ones like, because millennial starts now officially 80. Sorry. I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news, but you're a millennial if you're 80 or
I graduated from high school in 80.
Yeah, so, but what's funny is that I was born in 84, so the millennials from 80 to 84, those older ones,
right.
They're the ones who have, I mean, it's almost come to blows at times. Like, I've had people try to get up in my face because I called them a millennial and they didn't like it. But it's like, I don't know what you want me to do. I mean, I wasn't being mean about it.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're a millennial, it's the pot calling the kettle black, right?
Yeah. They just didn't. They were like, oh, I'm no millennial. I'm Generation X. I'm like, that's like the 70s, man. Like, you grew up watching the Smurfs and Thundercats.
Is there that big a difference? I mean, obviously there's a little bit of a difference between us. I mean, there's just different experiences, different music, different lifestyles, a whole different set of rules. For example, when my son's going off to a party or something like that, I always tell him, leave the phone in the car. Leave the phone, because everybody gets in trouble anymore because somebody took a picture that went to the wrong place and got seen by the wrong people. And we never had that problem growing up. There was never ever that problem. I'm telling you, if there was Facebook in 1979, I wouldn't be. I think there's all of us that could do 5 good years for something based on what we've done in the past. And if there had been Facebook back in 79, 80, I'd probably be lined up against the wall with some kind of evidence.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine if it was around with all those, like the Piston bad boy teams, or the early '90s Cowboys, or the '70s Steelers, like all those athletes that got through it without social media? Like they wouldn't last today.
No, the '80s Lakers.
Yeah, the '80s. Yeah, just pick one of those notorious teams from any sport back in the day, and. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, and the closest thing that we get to being able to travel back in time is that Stormy story that CNN won't let go, and all of that. So, yeah, what are we going to do? Is a lie detector test. That's what we're going to be able to do to try to figure out what the truth is. As opposed to the way, as porn stars go, right?
Yeah, she's just not. She's just not.
Nah. I'm not a fan.
No. Okay. Sorry, I just wanted to check. Sorry, Josie, if we messed up your research project to find out what these 1, 2, 3, 4 handsome and educated men might be playing with when they're on their phones, not looking at email or actually making a phone call.
I'm looking at your tweets, Josie. That's what I do. That's my go-to game. Reading your Twitter feed,
seeing what you're up to, what the Frenchman is doing. It's 8:25 in the morning. Listen, I'll talk to you pretty soon. That's Blake Watson. He handles sports over here, and he's playing records over on Star 101. I'm going to let him get back to that. We'll take a quick break. When we return, I understand that there is some Subway in the house. Oh, find those guys real quick.
Chili's has the seafood you crave, the flavors you love, at a great price with our 3 for Me Lent menu. For just $15, you can get a beverage, fresh salad, and a Lent-friendly entree. First, choose from a refreshing Coca-Cola, iced tea, or Heineken on draft. Then enjoy a fresh house salad right before you indulge in your choice of a mouth-watering entree, like our spicy shrimp tacos, savory Cajun pasta with shrimp, or our flavorful grilled ancho salmon. Chili's 3 for Me Lent menu for just $15. Available for a limited time. Chili's, more life happens here.
Yeah, we just never hit critical mass on the traffic today, building up where it is supposed to build up, and that's just because, it was a generic morning. Made a little bit easier by the fact that there are not a whole lot of school buses and kids driving to school, parents driving their kids to school this morning, so I think it's a little bit easier to get through. That's not to say that there aren't going to be some areas where you might find congestion. Looks like there's a little bit of it getting in front of the Ocean Vista Exxon. Sorry, 76, old guy, on your way to that Macheche turn. Also coming out of Route 10 Alpha, inbound and outbound, looks like just before you get to Home Depot. And the reason is because there's something going on at the condominiums and the apartments that are back there. And unfortunately, there's just a little skinny bridge, 1-lane bridge that lets people in and out of that area. So I think that's kind of tricky. And then getting into Route 14, that's the one that goes from ITC building back up to St. Anthony School. A little bit of a congestion in a couple of directions there. So just anticipate some cars and be prepared to deal with it. Don't see anything else that you're going to have to worry about. That, my friends, is traffic here on The Point.
We have those moments in our lives that happen unpredictably. The unexpected instances that we did not really need. Now you can count on us to stay well, pa-pa-da to live well, pa-pa-da to stay well, making sure you stay well. Oh, we'll lift you up when times are low. I'll see how far we'll go, and stay well.
Stay Well Insurance. See how far we'll go.
Well, that was amazing. So we had to kick Blake out of the studio and bring in somebody else that might actually have some games on his phone. So I'm going to check Marcus Fong from Subway. Good morning. How you doing there, buddy?
Good morning.
Lean up into the microphone. Get closer. Right. We're going to talk about your raps here in a couple of minutes. We got to take care of some headlines, etc. But I figured I'd continue the conversation. It's a very important conversation that Blake and I were involved in just a few minutes ago, along with Kevin and Mike. Sorry, Mike and Kevin. And so the question is, what games do you have on on your phone? Do you have a go-to game? Do you have anything on your phone? Now, you're a serious business guy, right?
Okay, so a while back I downloaded a game. It's called Scale, and it's just a little bouncy ball, and you got to create boxes around it. and so it's a real boring game. It's not any of those fun, RPG games or anything like that. But
just something to kill time. It was
Yes.
bubble gum for the mind. Keep it going around. Words with Friends. Did you get into any of that when it was hot?
I tried that, but then I couldn't keep up. And
Yes.
all my friends just didn't want to play with me.
Oh God, absolutely. Marvin, what about you?
Too many games.
You've got too many games on the phone? Too many games. Oh, get out of here. Don't say that in front of the boss. Never say that in front of the boss. So just don't worry about that. Some other things. Oh, my God, what is that? Hold on a second. This is why we put cameras in the studios, ladies and gentlemen. So this is an example of one of the wraps that we are going to be unwrapping and talking about in a second with Subway, and because the Lent thing is going to be done here in a few days, and we want to dovetail into the next big meal promotion that we've got over at Subway. That's coming up in a couple of minutes. We've got to kill some time between here and there with Kevin Kerrigan and a last look at news from the Guam Daily Post.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 30 minutes past 8 a.m. In the headlines from the Daily Post this morning, following concerns that the federally funded Estumbo Fire Station's closure would risk future federal funds if it remains shut down, the Guam Fire Department yesterday announcing that they'll reopen the station effective immediately. The PD Fire Station also scheduled to reopen at least partially later today. The two fire stations were shut down March 4th, and what the Calvo administration said was a cost-cutting move in the face of a $67 million cash shortfall. Now that a tax increase has been approved to help cover that projected shortfall, the fire stations are being reopened. Speaker Benjamin Cruz has sent a letter to Governor Eddie Calvo advising that the fiscal realignment plan falls short of the minimum $30 million required for the business privilege tax to take effect as scheduled on Sunday. The governor submitted the plan Friday, which calls for $42 million in budget cuts, but the speaker writes it's unclear where that $42 million comes from. The speaker acknowledged only $30 million in cuts, but he maintains that the net spending reduction adds up to just $28.5 million because there is a $1.5 million increase in the GMH Pharmaceutical Fund. Acting BBMR Director Lester Carlson disagrees, telling the Post that the realignment plan does cut $30 million. He says the temporary increase in the BBT that is supposed to take effect Sunday will yield $1.5 million for GMH, which by law gets about 6% of the business privilege tax. Carlson says the speaker is counting that against the $30 million in cuts, but he argues that the $1.5 million for GMH is unavoidable because it's required by law. Employees at Guahan Academy Charter School received their paychecks at about 10 a.m. yesterday morning. That, according to the school board's chairwoman, Faye Valencia Ovales. Guahan Academy employees were not given paychecks Friday because the funding came too late for a payroll service company to process those checks. The charter school has been facing some problems with finances and faces a possible reduction in funding support from the government of Guam. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
Gotcha. iConnect time in the studio is 8:31. Connect longer for less with iConnect's push-to-talk mobile and internet plans.
Wendy's welcomes the new Smoky Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger, featuring smoky, sautéed portobello mushrooms, melted Asiago cheese, crispy applewood smoked bacon, and crunchy fried onions atop a juicy beef patty. For those craving the same great taste, Wendy's Smoky Mushroom Bacon Potato is also loaded with sautéed portobello mushrooms, cheddar cheese sauce, and crispy applewood smoked bacon. Here, for a limited time, get a delicious Smoky Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger and Smoky Mushroom Bacon Potato today. Wendy's. Now that's better.
What, I'm supposed to do another one? For whom again? Oh, those guys. Portions of the program brought to you by my friends Kim and Ron. We get to spend a lot of time with them last night and their Alaskan cousins over at the Frontier Place from Security Title. When you absolutely need confidentiality in your real estate transactions, call Security Title. As we journey through the new year, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions, lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network. We humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL, and we are here for you.
This KFC chicken is great. Shrimp. Hey, who are you calling shrimp? KFC's new shrimp burger. It's great.
Howdy, folks. KFC's Colonel Sanders here. Try our new shrimp burger and all our seafood items available this season. KFC Food Kelequin, breaded shrimp, seafood salad, and of course, we can't forget your one and only favorite KFC original recipe chicken.
All right. I need to try KFC's new shrimp burger. Good, because you really are shrimp. Hey, a 5-7.
KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Welcome back to the show. And excuse the mess. And it would be, you know, we've tried to make this as much of a multimedia experience as possible. So we've got the audio going, we've got video with the cameras into Facebook, and you can download this on YouTube Live a little bit, at least YouTube later on. But the thing that we don't have is a way to get the aroma of brand new fresh food to the radio listeners. And I wish there was a way that I could do that, because I'm holding in my hand something that you are going to absolutely love. New wraps are there waiting for you at Subways all over the island. Now I've got Marcus Fong in the studio. It's always nice to see you.
Good morning.
And then Marvin's here as well. Marvin and I we get together seemingly at grand openings for Subways all the time, right? That's one of the go-to places. And it's like, great, new store, and oh, there's one near my house. Oh, this is going to be fantastic. So tell me a little bit about the wrap that I'm about to enjoy that our listeners are going to hear about.
Right now, the wrap that you have is our turkey bacon guacamole wrap.
It's got, yeah. So you said guacamole. That's the magic word. Yeah, there's bacon and guacamole. So it's all of the things that you want all together in the wrap. So I mean, we'd start with the fresh ingredients, obviously.
Yeah, fresh ingredients. Of course, we have our lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers. We have red onions, which you don't like.
Right. But if I was to do this myself, if I was just going to go to the store and put the wrap together, I could get the more of this and less of the other,
absolutely.
Right?
Yes, you can.
So it's not like it's pre-made.
We do have the recommended veggie builds for what you have there, which is the lettuce and the tomatoes and the onions. Yeah. But you can opt to change whatever you want. Yellow peppers. We do have.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And what about the sauces on the inside?
The sauce for that one is actually ranch.
Okay. Do I have a choice on that?
Yes, you do.
Could I just go with
we have a bunch of sauces
and
that you can choose from. Regular mayonnaise, light mayonnaise. You can go from Thousand Island to sweet onion.
Okay, so if I understand this correctly, Marcus, what we're talking about is a Subway, but we're not having it on the sub bread. We can put this on a variety of platforms, right?
That's correct.
So you still have, you start with the base ingredients. You want chicken, we get you chicken. You want bacon along with that, whether it's turkey or the chicken, you can do that as well.
Right.
And then when it comes time for all of the extras and the condiments, you can put that together just like you'd put together a sandwich.
Exactly.
Okay, so then it tells me that the fun here, like we did with flatbread, is changing it up for the customer, because you're not going to want a sandwich all the time. You might not want a lot of the extra carbs all the time if you're training, if you're exercising, if you're doing some judo stuff, because I know Marcus is big, is rolling around on the floor all the time. So this is the way that you can enjoy your favorite Subway meals on a different kind of bread. Okay, so I mean, literally, could I get a BMT?
Yes, you can.
You can have them wrap it? Really?
Yeah. You can make any sub a wrap.
Black Forest ham with bacon.
A wrap.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I'm looking at the wrap, though, and this. You know what it looks like to me? It looks like, what do we call this? It looks like it's,
My staff say that looks like the empanada wrap.
Yes, it looks like an empanada. It's exactly right. It's got that look to it. How did you do that?
That is our tomato basil.
Ah.
Yeah, we have spinach.
So it's not fried?
No.
Okay, so I'll hold the thing up so everybody can see it and make some mouths water here. Yeah. So you do that. You look at this while I'm talking to him about that. So it's a tomato basil wrap?
Tomato basil wrap. We also have it in spinach as well.
Could you fry it like?
Well, we
love one of those.
We've tried, doing it our customer's way and actually toasting it, and it came out like a balloon.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
it picks up a little bit of steam, and so it
starts to expand.
puffs up a little bit.
It's not recommend. It's not recommended that we actually toast it. However, some of our customers would like it heated.
Well, if you want to, I mean, because as we're talking about building this based on our favorites, there's different kinds of cheeses that you can put into it as well.
Yeah.
So you can get the build, as he says, the way the guys over at Subway in the States and the corporate guys said, oh, you're going to try this, put this together this way. But we're Guam, and we like things differently. We like a little bit of spice in there. So sriracha sauce on this if you want to.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, okay. So now tell me a little bit about the packages. I can buy this in a meal. I can get this with chips and a cookie.
You can get it with chips, cookies, apples. You can get it by itself. You can upsize it to a larger cup drink if you like. But whatever you can do with a 6-inch and a foot long, you can do with
that. All right. Signature wraps, the new spinach wrap or the new tomato basil wrap. So those are the new sandwiches, if you will, that you can use, but we're just going to wrap them for you. They have special formula, foot-long portions of meat, 6 really foot-long portions of meat, even in the smaller size wrap?
Yes, sir. Every wrap is built with a foot-long portion of meat and a 6-inch portion veggie.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah.
All right.
The whole concept is actually to keep that flavor profile for our customers.
Yeah, but I mean, you're getting the extra in a smaller kind of platform here. I think that's groovy. Signature wrap flavors: Chipotle Southwest steak, cheese, turkey, bacon, and of course guacamole. We go and guac is like an extra step here because that requires avocados, etc. And we got to mix it up and do that kind of thing. So that's something that somebody any other place they'd say, okay, that's 50 cents more, but that's like included here, right?
In there.
Perfect. Savory rotisserie style chicken Caesar and plenty more. This available right now?
Right now.
We don't have to wait until Easter Sunday after Lent's over?
Right now.
Okay, so all Subway locations?
All Subway locations.
How many are there now, Marcus?
There are 14 now.
Get out.
Yeah.
Variety of locations, variety of places.
All over the island.
Seemingly. And among my favorite things that I like about it is it's a different experience every time I go. I might have the same kind of sandwich, but I can change up the ingredients that go in the sandwich. Sometimes I feel like chips. Most of the time I feel like chips, but every once in a while, when I see them take them out of the oven and say, oh, that's right now cookies, then the answer is yeah, we're definitely having a couple of cookies and a soft drink on the side. Nice. And so this is going to take us into the springtime and summer months with Subway, right?
Yep.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. Well, I'd love to ask you guys to stick around a little bit longer, but that's going to prevent me from actually taking a bite of this and talking about it. So we get everything squared away?
Well, for the breakfast lovers.
Oh, yeah, there's a microphone there. Come on ahead.
Breakfast lovers, you can have your breakfast as a wrap too.
No way.
Yes, sir.
Cool.
So if you go to Subway for breakfast and you're going to get your breakfast sandwich, you can do it as a wrap as well.
Okay, so then it comes down to just reconfiguring what your carbohydrate is going to be. Do you want it to be on a regular bread that they make fresh all the time over at the Subways? 9-grain honey oat, by the way, is mine, and so you can have it on that. You guys are still rocking the flatbread.
Yep.
And now the tomato basil wrap.
Yep.
That your Chamorro eyes are going to say is an empanada. It looks like empanada bread, and if it looks like empanada bread, then you can tell your brain that that's what you're eating, and you're going to enjoy that. Did you get a bite of yours yet? No. Okay. When are we gonna? You don't have any yet?
I'm not allowed to eat in here. You're the boss.
Did I say that? Well, that's you know why? Because he's got expensive technology in the room. I've got microphones and $99 cameras. That's what I've got. So I'm gonna go ahead and break into some of that. Can you set me up with a break real quick while I can say thanks very much for coming to these guys. Thanks very much for coming.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to see you. And we built this up the last time we got together. I forget which social it was, but we saw each other. I said, I need to get you into the studio so you can talk about some of the things that you guys got going on.
Absolutely.
And this is not the only thing that you got going on, right? It's not just Subway.
No, there's not. And actually with Subway, being a techie, I think you're going to enjoy this. We're going to be launching remote ordering soon. and we've got this Subway app. So there's a lot of things coming down the pipeline.
Okay, wait. So I was going to be done. So we were talking about games on the phone. Okay, that's my new game.
Yep.
So there is an app, because I always consider it kind of an intimate experience when I go to Subway, right? So I go and I stand there, and this is the kind of bread that I want. This is the base meal that I want. This is the kind of cheese.
Right.
Toast it. Thank you very much. I'm glad that you got the good toaster. And then we'll start sprinkling some of the other goodies on it.
Yep.
I'll be able to do that on an app.
Your phone while you're in line somewhere, while you're on your way.
And it's so make it do that cascade thing again. That was show it in front of you got a camera, you can show it too. So, but a very, very cool looking deal. So you can do that kind of on your way in, right?
Yep. So we're working on that. It's not live yet, but it's going to be live very soon. So the app coincides with our new rewards program, the loyalty program, where you can earn tokens and get cash rewards.
Oh,
so everything is there.
I'm going to end up owning the store, because I'll tell you what, the only reason why I don't own your Subways yet is because I always forget my card. It's always either in the other wallet or in the other car or at the house, and so I always forget the thing. And they say, well, you can put the numbers in later. No, I'm lazy. So when I make the order, it'll happen through the phone.
You can pay through the app. You can if you have your phone, you can scan your phone and it'll collect your points for you. You don't need the card.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh, 21st century stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
we're
before summer?
Before summer.
Okay, so there's I'm always thinking about promotions. How do I involve my radio stations into some kind of promotion?
The app is live today. So you can earn your rewards. You can do all of that. You can send gift cards to your friends instantaneously through the app.
But I'm just not able to order yet.
Just not ordering yet. We're still working out the little kinks there, but that should be done very soon.
Okay, so so I could actually build the thing. So if I wanted, just give me some light lettuce,
exactly,
and tomatoes, and with a little bit of green on them because I like the crunch.
Whatever carrier you want, whatever veggies, whatever meat, however you want it, and then you can check it, and then you can either pay on the app, or you can walk in the store and pay there.
And so when I walk in the store, it'll be ready and waiting for me.
It will be ready and waiting for you.
Because I'm over 55 now. I don't like to. I don't want to have to stand in line anymore. I want to be able to just go to the counter and say, "Gibson, here's my thing. It's paid for, and just pick it up and go."
55 or not.
This is like Uber for food. Just kind of call it in and get the thing done. And as I said, you get the points. And I love the idea that I can use the points later on for food. At which point will I be able to amass a serious number of points and then have my own Subway location?
So you're earning tokens, right? So you're earning tokens, and an X number of tokens turns into cash rewards. So, earn more tokens, you can come in and get more stuff.
And but if I can't use them to buy my own store, I can send them to my friends. Did you say I can transfer?
You can send gift cards.
Oh, it's the same thing, right? Okay, so I could send a gift card to like Vanessa, and then Vanessa's got my points.
Yep.
Very good.
Very good.
So this is how it looks. So if you look at it here, you get $2 rewards for collecting every 200 tokens, and you can use these rewards to pay if you don't have cash.
Is this local? Did you guys generate this locally, or is it part of the franchise?
This is part of a national program. So we were fighting hard to get Guam
to the
included.
Inclusion,
Yes,
because I know there's some guys that have apps that don't work for Guam.
Yes.
Which ticks me off. So I'm glad that you guys were successful in being able to do that and make sure that Guam was part of the drop-down list on this.
And that's one of the reasons why the remote ordering is a bit delayed, because we want to make sure that they plot our stores properly and make sure that we get the context.
What about delivery?
That's down the pipeline.
Yeah, a little bit?
Like a little bit further down.
But it's something that people are talking about, right?
Yes, it is something. And the app actually has the capability of doing that. So all we have to do when we're ready for it is turn it on.
Yeah, and find guys to go out there and do the delivery.
Yes.
I am absolutely impressed. I like the meal. I like I love the technology.
Yes.
So I can hardly wait for the next time you guys come in and you can say this thing is on live, and then we'll actually do it. I'll actually order something and then send one of the minions out to go and fetch it from the nearest Subway. Now I'm thinking about it. Where is the nearest Subway from here?
Good morning.
It's over by
Airport Road.
Airport Road. Okay, because for me the closest one is down the street.
Tumon.
In Tumon. That's my other go-to place because you can sit like at the window and watch all the Korean hot pants walk by. I just said that live on the air, didn't I? Great. 8:46 in the morning, guys. Thanks so much for coming in and sharing breakfast with me. And don't forget, you can get it for lunch today, or if you're already there and you want to try this on your breakfast, wow, tomato basil with scrambled eggs. and bacon.
Yep.
I'm in heaven already. Try it this morning, friends, at Subway. It's I was going to say, what's the, I've got you changed your slogan. Fresh is what we do?
Fresh is what we do.
Right. Okay, I'll try to remember that better. Break, and then eating, and then yakking. Next.
As we journey through the new year, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions, lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network. We humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL, and we are here for you.
The stations of Choice Broadcasting are celebrating April 2018 as National Earth Month in the first ever Upcycle Mascot Showdown. We've invited the public elementary 5th grade classes to set the example and build their school mascots completely out of recyclable material. Come down to the Chamorro Village Festival Huts on April 21st from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. for a full day of fun. Support your school's mascot and be sure to vote for your favorite. Judges pick the first place winner. The public votes for the second place winner. Celebrate Earth Month with our students in the Upcycle Mascot Showdown. Brought to you by Leo Palace Resort Guam and The Point.
Yeah, buddy. It's 8:48, and it is as good as I made it sound out to be. And that and chips. And what drink would go best with that? You know, I always get the Diet Coke or Coke One when I'm there. And those potatoes, they're not fried, they're baked. And I try to convince myself that's the healthier option. So I suggest you try it. Subway been following me around and a part of the Ray Gibson Show broadcasts forever and ever and ever, and I'm delighted that they've followed me over here to The Point. It's 8:50 in the morning, and let me just take a quick look and see. We found him.
So
what?
How was it?
It's good. It's good. And as soon as we're done with the conversation with Tom, the Hammer Adda, we'll move forward into Fox News. And when the Fox News is playing, I'm going to put the cameras on the client logos. And then it's going to be me here in the privacy eating messy Subway wrap thing.
Do you need some extra napkins?
I'll be fine, I think, with the ones that I've got. But let me get to this guy because I know how busy he is. Tom Adda joins me now on the program. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, Ray. How are you?
You know, I'm okay. I haven't heard from you since BJ got back. Says the other adult supervision is back, so we've been yakking with him, and so it's. I noticed that you haven't been on our docket recently, and I want to change that this morning.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, can I say it? I miss you. See, this is going to be like withdrawals when you're not a senator anymore. We may call you, just reminisce.
Yeah, okay, do that.
Yes. How much more fun would it be when you don't have to worry so much about parsing the words that come out of your mouth? But I must say, I didn't catch you doing that yesterday as much as, and I think I've said it before as well, a little bit disappointed that these conversations about furlough, closing down police stations are taking place. And I think you adequately expressed my position yesterday when you said, let somebody else worry about backfilling $67 million.
Yeah, well, first of all, insofar as, fireworks and whatnot, I've learned over the years that, when you react to something, a reaction is going to come, it's going to respond to that. And sometimes that's how things kind of just, heighten and get out of hand. So I try to maintain my cool as best as I can. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I guess I did have some concerns yesterday with the information that was provided. I know that over the years, the police department has always talked about shortage of manpower and all that. And then we take basically 35 individuals and assign them up to Department of Corrections to help to alleviate the overtime situation up there, and to come back and say, but despite that, the security of this community is not, is not compromised. in any way. So it's kind of like, well, something doesn't seem to jive here. So I had concerns about that.
Do you feel that his responses addressed those concerns? And I want to ask, as well as the other concerns from your colleagues at the legislature, asking about the nature of guys that have not necessarily gone through the same kind of training as sworn police officers, conducting arrests, conducting on the scene investigations, that at some point have to stand up in a court of law.
Yeah, and in fact, it was interesting because somehow one of the senators was able to get a copy of a memo that did not have a signature yet, was still in the planning stages, that basically was going to say only GPD personnel will make arrests, which was contrary to basically what the chief was saying. So there seemed to be a lot of contradictions yesterday. And I just get very concerned about it. In fact, what was interesting was that during the GPD part of the hearing, the chief basically said, fine, we can move these 35 personnel to help out GPD, and it won't impact our operations. On the other hand, the DOC director, Mr. Lamarena, basically says, when he was asked how much can you give up, and he flat out came back and says, I can't give up anything. And so so with all this, it one can almost kind of like, okay, so you're saying you can move this many people and it's not going to impact your operations, kind of suggests to me that maybe then you're overstaffed.
That would be a miracle to look at the patterns and see what those things have got to say. As I've expressed before, and I'm delighted to hear that I'm finally not the only one that is annoyed by it. I don't like the idea of uniformed, badge-wearing, gun-toting cops running around being chauffeurs or clerks at the Department of Corrections. If they needed to backfill that place with bodies so that they could take guys off the chauffeur detail or off the intake detail, then they could have been filled up with port cops, airport cops, the park rangers, guys that maybe are going to not be able to affect the same kind of police work out on the roads as the actual cops would. And I was kind of hoping at some point in the conversation yesterday, somebody would have owned up to that and said, yeah, we probably should have done it differently.
Well, the chief did indicate that they're looking into possibly trying to at least give that responsibility over to other law enforcement agencies, such as maybe the marshals at the court. So they are looking at these things. We also discussed about, because in his testimony, the chief indicated that there's a high demand for the GPD personnel at during Liberation Day, the Coco race, and all that, and that is anything being looked at to shift some of that responsibility so that the police officers can be out in the villages providing the security services out there. So they indicated they're looking at that also. So I just didn't walk away from there fully convinced that we can move around these many people and nothing gets impacted. We asked a question about, in your plans, have you figured in the number of reservists and National Guardsmen who are going to be going on annual training this summer? That's 2 weeks off. And you have a number of them that's going to be deployed also sometimes this summer. So, I just don't buy that thing that we can cut here, let 35 guys go off to deployments and meet their military service, and the community safety is still not being compromised at all.
Well, the scariest thing was the response time. We go from 15 minutes, which in my mind is about 11 minutes too long already, waiting for somebody to come by and respond, to 30 minutes. And I think that's completely unacceptable. That means that in my mind, it ain't public safety anymore.
Yeah. Well, in fairness to the public safety, I went back and I read his testimony, and he did indicate that what was before a 15-minute response time could, when they implement the furloughs, could increase to anywhere between 30 to 60 minutes for non-emergency calls. And so
just because it isn't an emergency doesn't mean that the police service isn't required. I mean, there's specific things that we want from the police department, and it doesn't need to be somebody with a gun to my head. It just needs to be somebody needs to come out and begin to investigate this crime and start collecting clues that would lead to solving the crime and then eventually justice. So I'm still, that's still a worrisome deal, regardless of how we parse the numbers on that. Hey, listen, I got news coming up in a second. I'm going to on this thing from Subway. Can we call you right back? Because there were a couple of other things. KUAM has done a story on campaign contributions and things like that, and your name's in there, so I want to give you a chance to address that.
Sure.
All right. We'll ring you right back after the news.
Okay.
Tom the Hammer Adda on KUSG Hagåtña. That's this radio station. We're known as The Point. My name is Ray. You can reach me at 888-8255. Again, that number is 888-8255. Please don't call the other guys and ask them for the number. They don't think that's funny. They don't think it's as funny as I do. But so 888-8255. Write it down near the phone and call me if you need me. The news is coming up next.
More headaches for Facebook. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The Federal Trade Commission now investigating the social network after revelations users' personal data was shared by a third party. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal has this live.
Lisa, the FTC is the same agency that reached a settlement with Facebook about 8 years ago over privacy concerns. David Griggs is a former FTC civil prosecutor. He says it's been all about finding a balance to regulating technology and social media.
Obviously, the idea of free enterprise is to allow this type of company to not be heavily regulated, but occasionally that regulation is needed to protect the consumer.
The Senate Judiciary Committee is asking Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg to testify on April 10th. Attorneys general in nearly 40 states sent Facebook a letter demanding to know more about how they use people's personal data. Lisa.
Jessica, a senior U.S. defense official, confirms multiple packages have been sent to several military installations around the country, including Fort McNair. At least one package contained explosive material but was ultimately rendered safe. The package is now being examined at the FBI lab at Quantico. The revelation that the father of Pulse nightclub shooter Omar Mateen was a confidential FBI informant, not enough to cause a mistrial in the widow Noor Salman's criminal trial.
Mateen's father had been working for the FBI longer than 10 years when the shooting took place. Salman's lawyers say not knowing this prevented Salman from being tried fairly and that prosecutors have a duty to share all information. The judge says no harm was done as the elder Mateen was never called to testify.
Fox's Evan Brown. Linda Brown, the Kansas girl at the center of the 1954 Supreme Court ruling that struck down racial segregation in schools, has died. The Sumner School in Topeka was all white when Brown's father tried to enroll the children. Fox News, fair and balanced.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
Chili's has the seafood you crave, the flavors you love, at a great price with our 3 for Me Lent menu. For just $15, you can get a beverage, fresh salad, and a Lent-friendly entree. First, choose from a refreshing Coca-Cola, iced tea, or Heineken on draft. Then enjoy a fresh house salad right before you indulge in your choice of a mouth-watering entree, like our spicy shrimp tacos, savory Cajun pasta with shrimp, or our flavorful grilled ancho salmon. Chili's 3 for Me Lent menu for just $15. Available for a limited time. Chili's. More life happens here.
A lawsuit filed in Nebraska by civil liberties advocates challenging the state's protocol for lethal injections.
The Nebraska ACLU is seeking a judge's order to keep executions on hold until the death penalty protocol can be reviewed. The state's last execution was 21 years ago. The combination of drugs used for lethal injections can be decided under current rules by the Corrections Department director. Prior to that, a regular 3-drug combination was used until one of the drugs stopped being made in the U.S. The state ACLU says no notices of a change in administering the drug was ever given. The state legislature is also planning to look into the procedure's constitutionality. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Back in court today as the federal government fights a planned merger between AT&T and Time Warner.
An executive from Sling TV was given a transcript of last week's proceedings in this trial before he took the stand, and that's against the rules. The judge, Richard Leon, allowed that exec, Warren Schlichting, to testify anyway, but he warned the lawyers here if something like this happens again, they will be held in contempt. Now, once Schlichting did take the stand, he testified a combination of AT&T and Time Warner could make it tougher for companies like Sling to negotiate, lead to higher cable bills for consumers. Now, we're just starting week 2 of an antitrust trial as the government presents its case, and it's a trial that's expected to last between 6 and 8 weeks. At U.S. District Court in Washington, Connell McShane, Fox News.
Actress Cynthia Nixon blasting New York Governor Andrew Cuomo as a bully and a wannabe Republican during her first visit to Albany since announcing her bid for governor. Nixon announced last week she will challenge Cuomo in September's Democratic primary. Nixon says the 2-term governor has failed to ensure equal opportunities for poor and minority students. Lisa Lacera, Fox News Radio.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care. Our island, your health plan.
Was that it? Is that my cue? I'm supposed to say nice things about First Hawaiian now, right? Groovy. First Hawaiian Bank, it all starts with yes.
Ready to buy real estate on Guam? Congratulations! But what now? There are so many questions, so many things to do. Where do you start? The best place to start is to call Century 21 Commonwealth Realty, Guam's biggest name in real estate. They aren't the best because they're the biggest. They're the biggest because they're the best. Trust the name. Find out why. Call Century 21 Commonwealth Realty today. 888-2121. Trust the best.
Portions of the program also brought to you by King's Restaurant, serving Guam favorites to families for over 40 years. King's Restaurants, always open, always local.
The Gutierrez Bordalio team is greatly concerned with the passing of the bill to implement a new sales tax for our island. Too many people are living paycheck to paycheck and will suffer with this new increase in prices. Streamlining the government and reducing non-essential employees and services is a better solution. Governor Gutierrez has been in this position before and knows how to make the tough decisions. We need to be frugal and responsible. We need leadership. We need Gutierrez Bordalio.
I'm Carl Gutierrez, and I approve this message.
$7 meal from Circle K. Get your choice of 2 Nathan's all-beef hot dogs or a half-pound Nathan's all-beef footlong, a big wrap bag of chips, and any size Polar Pop. That's a giant deal of a meal, all for only $7. Circle K. Take it easy.
Ray Gibson brings you closer to the action. Any speaker, anytime. Morning talk that matters.
All right, so the action this morning with Marcus and Marvin from Subway about the signature wraps, a spinach wrap and a tomato basil wrap, and we've got 1 or 2 that are still lurking outside waiting for Michael to be able to get his hands around those and then into his mouth. And my brother chimes in listening. He said, because I was talking about the cookies, right? I was talking about the cookies they have over at Subway, and he says what you do when you're there is have them toasted.
Oh.
So you take the cookies from the rack and then have them run it through the toaster.
And it gets melty.
So I'm like, yeah, you know. This is science at the end of the day. So KUAM in a report by Chris Barnett on campaign finance inquiries beginning to pile up over at the Guam Election Commission. Limits on business donations exist, he writes, as a safeguard to prevent corporations from having undue influence over politicians. Federal election law prohibits candidates from accepting donations directly from businesses. According to his 2013 campaign finance report, Senator Mike Sinicolas received a $1,000 donation from Trivision Media. Sinicolas later championed a special interest legislation to benefit electronic sign companies like Trivision and Cherry Media, along with Senator Tom Atta. The legislation, Bill 95, eventually became law. Campaign finance records from Senator Atta show he spent $1,000 on ads from Trivision on the 22nd of 2014. Trivision then donated $1,000 to Senator Atta on August the 28th of 2014. Now, personal note, number one, I wasn't on the air yet. Number two, I remember being a little upset at learning about the way that these businesses were allowed to do what they do. Now, I'm in the advertising game. Personal disclosure, right? I am in the advertising game. And I don't look in that direction because as far as I'm concerned, those signs are against the law. And so I don't go there. I know a bunch of other guys in the advertising game. And frankly, waiting for legislation that would provide for more of us to be able to use electronic billboards and electronic signage. Frankly, I can't even get a light put up on the building here. So obviously, it's one of those things that I wanted to spend a little bit more time talking about, but I didn't have a talk show at the time. So I suppose the question here, and maybe it even feels like as I read it an accusation that these businesses exerted or had undue or unfair influence on Senator Sinicolas and Senator Atta. Senator Atta's on the line. What were your thoughts when you heard the story?
Well, I don't know. I placed an order to put some ads on that billboard. I paid. I said, here's $1,000, and I want $1,000 worth of exposures. And that was worked out with my staff to give me that much service. Then they turned around and they gave me $1,000 in contributions in kind. So the
in kind, not cash.
I believe it was in kind. I'm pretty sure it was in kind. When in your financial report, you show your contributions and you break it down as either in kind contribution or cash. But the point is that what I received. The ads that were put on there were basically, I ordered, $1,000 worth of exposures. So I wasn't, when I read the story, I wasn't too concerned about it. Because I try to be very careful about that.
Well, I mean, the fact that the expenditures are reported, at least in my mind, indicates that there is a desire to be above board on all of these things. And I'd say the same thing about Mike Sinicolas and Doris Brooks's. It's easy enough to hide things in the world. So obviously, if you reported them as income, you could have done a Hillary on them and destroyed the hard drives, but it's there and it shows. So I think that disclosure, among other things, is worth talking about. But I guess the other part of it is, Senator, and I think you and I have had the conversation about this, was these businesses were kind of grandfathered in and allowed to do, to pursue their business deals as they saw fit, regardless, as I said, about the way that they got the licenses to be able to do these electronic signs. And I think that's the part. I know there's a certain amount of work that had been done with the planning guys, and they also seem to have taken a blind eye to the way the original law was written, and allowed them through some kind of a loophole to be able to erect this signage. And they seem to be going up everywhere now.
Actually, the only ones that are going up, and probably the latest one, is the one down in Tumon on San Matores Road.
Sure.
Right in front of the Churrasco restaurant there. That's probably the latest one. And we actually do have the sign law that should be reported out. It'll be reported out. I don't know whether you'll make it in the April session or the May session.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, so when these signboards started going up, the existing law, which was about 40 years old, did not allow for those. Did not allow for what we call off-premise signs, and does not allow for signs that are
blinking, flashing.
Yeah, and changing, right? So for those signs that have gone up, they went through the Guam Land Use Commission and basically got their authorization from there. The bill that was introduced by Senator San Nicolas and I co-sponsored, basically.
But they did not have the authority to allow for that. That's not provided for in the Land Use Commission's rules.
Well, the language there, you know, is really rather broad, and based on that, the Land Use Commission allowed it. But you know, basically,
the Attorney General seemed to have some issues with it, but I didn't see her climb down to get into the trenches on this battle either.
Well, I guess, you know, the fact is that the law was passed which grandfathered those in. A bill is being getting ready to be reported out of committee to basically regulate these signs more than what it is right now.
Sure.
And so, you know, I guess whatever shortfalls there are with the existing law, that's been recognized, and it's going to be addressed.
Well, as I said, there's kind of an accusatory tone the way the story is written that says you got $1,000, you paid them $1,000, you've got a business arrangement with them that is accounted for in your paperwork to the Election Commission, and in addition to doing business with them, you paid them $1,000. They gave you $1,000 in kind. And I suppose the accusation is that relationship allowed for you to be able to be a part of legislation that grandfathered them in, as opposed to applying some kind of penalty or having the business shut down until such time as there was adequate rules and regulations prescribed in law.
Well, I would disagree, because where I would have a problem is if I received those advertisement exposures on their board for free.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I've learned over the years is that free gifts are probably the most expensive gifts you'll ever find in life.
That is fact. You suppose there might be any more surprises if we were to take a look at some of the other numbers that you put down on your expenses there?
No, I don't think there'll be any other surprises. I'm very careful about campaign funds.
Well, it's the optics. Optics sometimes can work against you, I suppose. Now, when you are not going to be running for office for the 35th Guam Legislature, obviously there's money in an account somewhere. What happens to all of that? How do you liquidate that?
So several things is I can use that money to contribute to a candidate that's running, and I do plan to do that after the primary, or maybe even for the primary. So that's one way that I can liquidate the funds. I can contribute it to a nonprofit organization, and those are the two ways. So, for example, the Democratic Party, normally just before the primary or the general election, they take out a big, full page, 2 full pages in the paper saying, here's our candidate.
Sure.
And that costs the party quite a bit of money. So I can contribute, funds to the party to do that. So now I can't take that money and, go out and do personal benefit or whatever.
Right. So it's clearly there's a couple of different paths that you have to go down with this dough. I was thinking about who you might be able to give that money to. Does it need to be a gubernatorial campaign? Can it be a senatorial campaign?
No, it can be to any campaign.
Any campaign. Okay. Is there a limit? Are you also held to spending limits on this now?
I don't know, but I do know that I don't have that much money in there.
Well, there's the real question, right? How much money do you still have in the fund?
I don't have that much money in there to violate any laws, so I'm not worried about that. But it's in the Guam election, books there, and it shows, what the limits are and all that.
Do you remember what the bill number is for your legislation that would provide these the changes in the statute? I agree. It is an old law, and there's different technology out there. There's different ways to secure from the DPW angle to make sure that these things are secure in case of inclement weather and they don't blow away or fall down on cars and all of the important things that are vital to the community. I don't necessarily have a problem with the signage out there, but as I said, being in the advertising game, I sure would have been able to to do that too, and I didn't know if it was just a question of kissing butts, whose butts I had to kiss and for how long in order to get the Land Use Commission to look the other way on the law and let me build these things up. So obviously we'd like to see it in statute so that everybody is on a level playing field. So what's the number on that?
The number is, I believe it was,
That's okay.
Yeah, I want to say it's Bill 254. I'll text it to you. But basically, it's what we're going to regulate is, one, the density of signs. I mean, we don't want, for example, Tumon to have a sign every couple of 100 feet, right? So the bill that we're looking at is going to limit the number of these off-premise signs, one every 3,000, I think every 3,000 feet. So, for example, the one that you see down at Churrasco, it's already there. The next sign, according to this bill that we have, the next sign that you see will not be until maybe over by, I think over there by the Hilton. I think that's about 3,500 feet, either that or but so we want to regulate the density.
Well, here's a way that maybe we could look at it. Why can't the government itself prescribe where these locations are going to be, and that's it, and then sell the licenses to the highest bidders?
Well.
And then we don't have to worry about it. You want to put up one of these signs, no problem. He's going to make a whole bunch of dough in advertising, and you can run everything, and we'll let you put these signs up. Because otherwise, what is going to happen is now we're limiting the number of places where we can have these signs, and that will benefit again the incumbents who managed to sneak in. Sorry, I don't want to say sneak in. Sorry, I don't mean to do that. That there was an inappropriate word, and again, I'm just annoyed by it because it did not follow existing statute. But I think that just makes it that much more unfair, because now you got guys that are already in their primo locations, and while there might be some other great spots nearby, they're the incumbents. And now we're talking about, okay, well, next good ones, we're going to put that in Anigua. Well, I don't want to sign in Anigua.
Yeah, and I guess if you want to deviate from what the proposed regulations will stipulate, then that's when you have the option to go to the Guam Land Use Commission to get a variance to, let's say, put up another sign within the the required interval.
Yeah, well, as I said, I mean, but they've got to be given that permission. The Land Use Commission has got to have the authority to be able to do that, and has been pointed out already in the media and in the conversations. They didn't have it, but they gave it anyway.
And I believe the bill is more explicit about giving that authority to the Guam Land Use Commission.
Yeah.
The bill also regulates, and I think it's also important, regulating the size of these signs. So if you take a look at, for example, the size of that sign across from the ITC intersection there, that sign is probably half the size of the static billboard that you see up there by Nissan. And so the bill proposes that we really limit the signs to the size of the one that you see over there across from ITC. But if you want it bigger than that, then that's when you go in and apply for a variance from the Guam Land Use Commission.
So we could get more like we have at the top of Santos Hill? Sorry. I think that's one of the reasons why we had the legislation in there to begin with, is so that the place doesn't look like the strip, coming out of LAX.
Understand, but and that's why basically the bill puts a limit on the size of the sign, but it's not I mean, there may be circumstances where a larger sign may be appropriate or be okay to put up, and that's where you have to go into the Land Use Commission and really treat it. Then those ones will be treated on a case by case basis.
Slippery slope. Slippery slope, if you ask me. All right. Well, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your candor on it. It's an interesting issue, and we'll see where it goes from here. And there's some people that say, yeah, it's an outdated, antiquated deal. But in the meantime, for as long as it's been outdated and antiquated, it's kept this place from looking like EDSA. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. Yeah,
and we got to be careful if that's the direction that we're going to go. Then let's be careful, because it will definitely have an impact, I think, on number one, quality of life, and number two, the quality of the product that we are trying to be for our tourists. Senator, I appreciate your time.
Okay, have a good day.
Talk to you pretty soon. 9:24 in the morning. Senator Tom Atta this morning, number one, defending against conversations that took place in a report. You can find it. I was thinking about playing it this morning just to see, how Chris sounded when he did it. But you can see the points that he is trying to make. Tom says, nothing there. Nothing there. I did some business with them. They did some business with me, gave me some in-kind. And that's all there is to that. Didn't actually factor into the thinking that went into the legislation. Although I will tell you for sure that legislation did nothing for me as somebody in the advertising game. Didn't make it any easier for me to go out and put something like that on top of my building. I got a building right here. It's on Marine Corps Drive. I can see everybody. And wouldn't it be cool if I could flash up my signs, some of my advertiser signs, do something like that? But I can't. And that's where we are. So a couple of other things I wanted to take care of, but I got a couple other guests coming in. We've been talking mortgages with the guys over at Community First, and I want to continue that conversation. Do want to say good morning to my buddy Chris Baiacino. Printer Man's on the radio. Robert Hoffman. Hey, Mr. Mayor. And long distance here, Ray Souza, who is, I forget what state he's in, but he's got the thing going on Facebook Live this morning. I see Carlo and Lynn Vince and Joe and Juanita and Zoten. That's nice. And the question, although Shelley directed it at, yeah, there you are. And she puts the hearts on. That's nice. Shelley asked the question of Kevin, but I think she meant you. Is there a blue moon on the 31st?
A blue moon.
Come on. You're the weather guy. You're supposed to know all this. Is it weather and moon and earthquakes and eclipses? They're all the same thing, right?
Yeah, but, blue moon. We had one in January. I don't think we're having one this month.
Okay.
I can verify
it's a Google, if anything. Amanda's there. Hi, Amanda. Nice to see you last night. Amanda's running around with the Congresswoman who is back in town, although it's possible that she also flew with Senator Lisa Murkowski up to Saipan for the get-together that Murkowski is going to be having with them. It's primarily a trip to the NMI, is what that was. And Guam just got lucky to spend some time with her on her way over there. But a lot of stuff going on. And she also made the pledge last night and didn't have a chance to talk about it. She made a pledge last night at the Frontier. It was nice. We had a little reception in their warehouse. And they have this wall-hung urinals way up there on the top shelf.
Okay.
And I'm looking at the thing, and it was wall hung. And the first time I looked at it, I said, it's well. Why would there be a well hung? Oh, never mind. BJ thought that was funny as hell. Keith Parsky is out there. I see Manny and Brad and Lillian and a whole bunch of other people. I was talking earlier, and I hope the guys don't mind. It's going to be another, 2 minutes before I get them in. But I was talking with on the radio about we need to eliminate and abolish homework for children between first grade and sixth grade.
Yeah.
And everybody that I talked to, I was able to convince with nothing more than the authority of my voice to back me up on this. But we haven't been able to find the superintendent of the Department of Education yet, right?
No, I left a message. Evidently, he wasn't perhaps interested in commenting. I mean, what's he going to say?
It's going to save all kinds of money in the school system. Less paper for the parents to have to buy. Less junk that we've got to, mimeograph or copy off of. Here, take this home and come back. Yeah.
Remember that smell?
Yeah.
You would hope it was fresh mimeographs.
We've denied.
It'd still be a little damp,
We've denied our kids the pleasure of smelling mimeograph paper. James says Guam should research school models in parts of Europe. 4 days, 4 hours a day, no homework at their schools. Switzerland, Norway are some examples of these countries that use this model for grades 1 through 12. Yes? What are you pointing at?
Oh, I was going to tell you I have the answer to the question.
Okay, go ahead. It is
actually second blue moon of the year, March 31st. That's a couple of days from now. So blue moon is basically just the second full moon in a calendar month. Not that rare. However, this will be the last one until 2020.
Till the Olympics in Tokyo.
Yeah,
and a note from Julie that there is a full moon run this Friday. Really, a full moon run? Nice. Mo Cotton called up yesterday. He was in the middle of a dilemma because they wanted to know where to put their Sunrise with Pets race that the Rotarians want to do. And all of the usual spots were already kind of reserved or being used for something else. And I said, talk to the guys over at Adeloop. Adeloop is a great place to do a 5K. There's enough parking there for even a largest crowd, number one. And number two, you've got a choice of directions that you can go to. You can go north to Chamorro Village, use that as your turnaround, and then head back over. Or you can go south and turn around in the parking lot at the Assun Beach Park, and then come back. I guess it all depends on where you want the win. Do you want it in the first part of the race, or do you want it second part of the race? But that's a great place to do it, and I'm sure Richard and the guys over at the Guam Running Club also confirmed, yes, Ray Gibson did not steer you wrong on this particular one. Bottom of the hour, we'll take a quick break, and I'm going to bring in the guys from Community First, and we'll talk about mortgages for a little bit, and then we'll figure out where we're going to go for the rest of the program. As I said, there's all kinds of shiny topics that have piled up on me in the last 3 hours, so I want to make sure I can cover those before I'm done. Yes, I was going to say that. iConnect time in the studios of The Point is 9:30 in the morning, and there's still time to get in on this deal. Hop on over to iConnect, Easter time, right? And receive a free gift and automatic entry to win an iPhone 10 with every new 12-month plan from now until Easter.
The stations of Choice Broadcasting are celebrating April 2018 as National Earth Month in the first ever Upcycle Mascot Showdown. We've invited the public elementary 5th grade classes to set the example and build their school mascots completely out of recyclable material. Come down to the Chamorro Village Festival Huts on April 21st from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. for a full day of fun. Support your school's mascot and be sure to vote for your favorite. Judges pick the first place winner. The public votes for the second place winner. Celebrate Earth Month with our students in the Upcycle Mascot Showdown. Brought to you by Leo Palace Resort Guam and The Point.
Wendy's has got the new smoky mushroom bacon cheeseburger featuring smoky sauteed portobello mushrooms, melted Asiago cheese, crispy applewood smoked bacon, and they've got this, they've got a smoky sauce that goes along with this, crunchy fried onion tangles on top. How good is this? What did I have for lunch yesterday? Find it. The beefy, juicy patty and more on the smoky mushroom bacon cheeseburger. And if you don't feel like having a burger, you can also get this on a baked potato as well. but only if you're a communist, right? So have the burger. Eat the meat, for heaven's sakes. It's
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Hey, it's your stomach again. Subway has all new signature wraps, and around the water cooler, the other stomachs can't stop talking about them. Chipotle Southwest Steak and Cheese, turkey, bacon, and guac, rotisserie-style chicken Caesar signature wraps. Listen, if I'm honest, as a talking stomach, I don't have a lot of life experience. But I do know one thing. These signature wraps are jam-packed with meat. So what are you waiting for? I'm growling over here. Subway, make it what you want.
No, actually, I think I like that. I was just going to put Frank Charfris, but I pasted it twice, so it comes out looking like Frank Charfris. And I think that's what we're going to go with this morning from Community First Federal Credit Union. I got Derek over here, and he's just watching the passing parade. Come on up real close to the microphone so everybody can hear you. Good morning, Frank. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah, good weekend?
It was.
We've been spending a lot of time while you're in here talking about mortgages and things like that, and some people might be thinking, well, it's Community First, and that's someplace for a checking and a savings and all of that stuff. But we do full service there, right?
We do.
And so everything that you're going to need, personal lines and business lines and all of that, come on in and talk to you about some of those opportunities.
Correct. We have another team that offers the business platform product, so if you want to inquire about that, you can come into the Tamuning branch.
Right. And I've kind of been through that process, and it is kind of an involved process at the end of the day when we start thinking about all of these questions and risk assessments for your business. We want to look at your plan. We want to take a look at your plant, take a look at the assets that you're talking about that you have now, and assets that you're going to want a little bit later on. Not too far off from what you would do if we were talking about buying up some property, but still in all, it's going somewhere basically with your hand out saying, I need some dough, and can you help me? In this case today, we're going to be talking about mortgages and the idea of a second mortgage.
Correct. What you have, if you have, let's say you own a property today, obviously you would have to own a property or land to apply for a home equity loan or an equity line. Pretty much that position is the math on that is the appraised value, the current appraised value, minus your existing loan amount, and that's your cash position on the as to what you can borrow.
Okay, so it's not as though, let's say I'm sitting on a $200,000 house, right? And the guys come by and they appraise it, look at the particulars and the comparables in the area, and say, okay, so might be able to say that the house has got 250 because Ray put some improvements in there, changed out the faucet heads, the shower heads, and it's really nice. Put in the soft water systems, et cetera, right? So this is 250, but I still owe my lending institution $200,000 on it.
Correct.
So then the equity that I might have available to me in that equation is about 50?
Correct.
Really? Oh, it's as simple as that?
Well, we would lend up to 90% of the appraised value minus what you owe.
90%?
Correct.
Okay, so if I had 50 in there, then 90% of that, I'm going to have to take out, what is that?
225.
Okay.
So you'd have 25,000 you can get for an equity loan.
Okay, and that might be all you need for whatever else it is that you want to do with the money. I think that becomes the question. So you start thinking about what you can get with $25,000, and maybe in this case, you wouldn't want to use a second mortgage for something like that. Maybe you would want to instead go on with something more of a personal loan, signature loan, that kind of thing. Something. What do we call it when there's no collateral behind it. Unsecured loan.
Unsecured loan.
Yeah. So I mean, those would be the strategies that you think of, right?
Correct. Yeah, we would, obviously see what you have on your existing rate, see what the position is on your current value, and what your equity position is, and make the smart decision right on the spot.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for like 25 grand, I'm not sure that I want to put the house up as security against credit card debts or buying a new car or something like that.
Correct.
Although there are ways that you might be able to legitimize the idea by saying, well, that's an additional. Can I take out that? Can I save the interest on my taxes on a second?
it is tax deductible.
So I have the interest savings on the first mortgage and the second as well?
Correct.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad. What are the kind of some of the things that people need to know as they're coming into Community First asking about a second?
Well,
Tell me a little bit
first
more
step,
about
you
that
want to see
process.
you.
'Cause I think we oversimplified the process. So you find out how much it's worth, find out how much you owe, and minus this, and times 90, and then that's how much you're going to get.
Yes, in a nutshell. But we definitely would need to take a look at obviously your current situation with your employment, income, credit, and who you owe and stuff like that. But it's a good vehicle. Even if you don't need the money, it's a good vehicle because that equity loan is a line of credit, and you can tap into it when you need it. So if you have an approval already and you've closed the loan, and you don't need it today,
We don't need to disperse.
Correct, and you don't owe. So if you haven't drawn against it, you don't owe on the loan. But if you need it 2 months down the road, let's say you want to go on a trip, you have it available, and you can just write a check for the amount you need.
My guess, though, Frank, is that a lot of people that might get into something like this are probably not doing it because we wanted to go to Disneyland. Sometimes you get into, you only think about a second mortgage under almost duress conditions. Somebody got sick. And maybe it's going to require a lot of care at an off-island hospital, for which we had an emergency fund, but there's no way it was deep enough to be able to cover something like this. So you start looking at the values of your property. I don't want to sell the property. I don't want to liquidate it for cash. But is there a way that I might be able to get to the equity in the property? And the answer is yes.
It is. So it's a even if you don't need it today, it's a solution for whatever may lie down the road. And what I like about it is, especially with the line of credit, if you need it down the road, let's say you come across a piece of property or you have something
Great right now opportunity.
that popped up, you have it available.
Okay, so there's ways that you can look at this. One of them is a way that, a tool that you can use to get out of debt.
Correct. You can restructure what you have currently
based on that second.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, are the requirements the same, or does it count a little bit? Do you get a little bit of I don't know, a bump because you've already done all of your bona fides to get yourself into a place in the first place?
There is no bump, but there is. We have.
Is it easier to get through, or is it essentially the same as taking out a new loan?
You go through the same process as you would on a purchase.
Crap.
So it is the same.
That's okay. All right, that's the downside for me. I just hate the paper shuffle that goes on with all of that. Can you just copy and paste what I gave you before and make that the new application?
If it hasn't expired, we can do that.
Okay. All right. So it's not as bad as I thought. But we're talking about how much time will it take to build up the equity in the home? So I mean, if I just bought something 5 years ago, I haven't really put anything into the principal. I've been paying down interest all of this time. So the only kiss I'm going to get on value is whatever the difference is in the appraised value.
Correct.
Yeah.
And 5 years ago is definitely a difference on Guam nowadays. The market.
Elaborate, would you?
5 years ago, that current home you had 5 years ago is probably worth a lot more today in this current market.
Tell me about the factors. What's the force field that's impacting that?
Well, there's a lack of inventory, and when that inventory is on the market, they're asking for a lot of money, and they're getting it.
You're
so
finding that
there's
they're
your
getting
new
it.
comparable right there.
Interesting. So and a lot of that is going to be based on the appraisals.
Correct.
Okay. So how do we get the appraisal that we want to ensure that we're maximizing all of this?
Well, the only time we would order the appraisal is once your loan's approved, and you would pay for the appraisal fee, and we don't get a value. We get a report that gives us data, and then there is a number or a value assigned to that report. but we can't obviously buy the value.
Well, wouldn't that be great? Yeah. How many? Listen, what's it going to cost for me to get another $50,000 up into the value of the property before I make this mortgage? So it's not that different at all from the process that you would go to for the first mortgage. So obviously you're going to want to make sure that you've got a very, very good credit history. So start working on getting that as polished as possible before you start bringing the paperwork. Good work history.
Yes.
Important to have.
2 years.
A good payment history on any other loans, anything outstanding that you've got.
Correct.
Even inside the same institution.
Correct.
It wouldn't hurt to open up a savings account and a checking account over at Community First.
Never.
Never.
It's never too
at all.
late to do that.
I like that. Now, are there different kinds of second mortgages? I know that you've got different ways that you structure financing on firsts and in businesses and things like that. Are there different flavors of a second?
We have two flavors. One is a traditional note where if you get approved and you close, we're going to advance the full amount to you. So it's just a fixed rate. It's a loan, whereas the equity line is a line of credit.
Right.
You pay as you borrow.
And the payments back are based on the prevailing interest rates?
Correct.
Okay.
And what you owe. So if you take out $10,000 a day, but you pay it off the next 30 days, you owe zero. And so there's no payment on that until you draw against that equity loan.
Sounds like a revolving credit card.
It is.
Yeah, basically. And the security then is the home. And as long as you don't do anything too crazy on that, then you don't have to worry about using the home as security on itself. I like the idea. And so whatever it is that you would need to get a loan going at Community First, start bundling that up and thinking about how you could use this strategically in order to figure out what it is that you want to control. You want to take care of some credit issues, then this might be the way to take care of some credit issues. You need to augment an emergency fund. This might be the way that you find the funds that you need to be able to do something like that and still have some place to live. And then the other one is use it as your own personal, you get to become the bank. This is now your line of credit, and when you need the money for whatever the purpose is going to be, then you just draw against that line of credit and pay it back. Hurry up.
Correct.
Yeah, I like the idea. If you want information about maybe doing this for yourself, maybe there is an opportunity that's staring you in the face and you're going, man, I don't have any money. Well, you know what? You slept on your equity last night, so find a way to put it to work for you.
Correct.
That's the way to do it. Frank, how do we get a hold of you?
472-8210, or stop on by at the Tamuning branch directly across Kitty Corner. Cost you less.
All right, and since Derek hasn't talked enough, we have to make Derek give the website.
www.communityfirstfcu.com.
So I get to see Derek at least once a week, and we talk just a little bit off the air about running and doing that kind of thing. The Guam International Marathon is going to be coming up, and of course you're going to be running all 26.2 miles of it, right?
No.
No.
Partial.
You don't do distance. I don't. Have you? You've run a marathon before, haven't you?
Yeah, I've done like 4.
Yeah.
But it's not my preference.
And I don't even think that you like running half marathons all that much. You've done them before as well.
It depends on how much I've trained for it. So I prefer a half over a full, though.
Oh, for sure,
Yeah,
for sure.
so-
Based on the number of years I've known you and the times that we've shared courses, normally I'll see him and I'll be going, okay, I'm going to run a half marathon. I'll see you later. And he'll say, yeah, I'm going to run 10K. I'll be done in about a half hour, which is about right for this guy. So is that what you're going to be running in the GIM?
Most likely I'll be running the 10K.
Okay, you don't have to. It's not for sure. This is not Facebook for sure yet. I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, probably we'll be running the 10K, I guess.
Am I allowed to tell everybody what the thinking is behind that?
It's a secret.
Okay, it's a secret. So I'll wait until he leaves and then tell you why it's the 10K for him in that particular race. But it doesn't matter which one when you go out to. See, if, just because I bring it up, the Guam International Marathon, then we both get points for that ambassador thing, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so
you got to call it the United Guam Marathon.
And hashtag UGIM or United Guam Marathon, right?
UGM training.
So Renee is listening. Renee, that's a credit for Ray and a credit for Derek, because we're talking about the big race that's going to be coming up. Anything in particular you're doing for training other than just getting out your usual running routine?
Just running more.
Yeah. Any particular route that you're doing that for the challenge? Because it seems to me that the 10K course in the GIM is not going to be all that challenging to you. So are there things that you're putting into your workout mix to kind of challenge yourself pre-race, so that when it's race time, you're a little bit more comfortable?
Just the basics, adding more quality work throughout the week, and making sure my body's ready.
Are we doing hills?
Not particularly. Just faster running.
See, this is why I like him, because he's not one of those guys. I have to torture myself. I have to pain myself in order to run. Of course, he's fast to begin with. And Frank, what race are you going to be running?
I don't run, man. I fish.
All right, so Frank's going to be there at the end of the race on the cooler waiting for us to come by. I'll be looking for you. 9:47 in the morning. Thanks, guys, for coming in. We're going to take the break here, and I'll be right back and finish up the program.
Come out for the 4th annual Chucky Run and Fun 5K, 2K, and Flyaway giveaway. Join us Saturday, April 14th at Chuck E. Cheese's Guam. Show at 5:30 and go at 6 a.m. T-shirts, medals, and other cool prizes, refreshments, and indoor activities after the races. Grand prize drawing for all participants is a trip package for 2 to Manila. Register at Chuck E. Cheese's Guam. $8 for students, $12 for adults, and Group of 4 Super Saver for just $35. The 4th annual Chuck E. Run and Fun 5K, 2K, and Flyaway giveaway. See you there.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. I'm Kim Anderson of Chalanpago, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Protehi Itanomo, protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
Did you know over 80% of all vision impairments can be prevented or cured? Naval Academy and Johns Hopkins University graduate Dr. Peter Lombard has performed thousands of sight-saving procedures in Guam since 2010. He specializes in cataract surgery and can treat your diabetic eye disease, glaucoma, and much more. From simple vision exams to complex surgery, Lombard Health proudly accepts all insurance. Call today to book an appointment at 989-4747. Guam's best eye care. One patient at a time.
Where to? I'll tell you where. We got news coming up in, 10 minutes or something like that from now. And then there's going to be Fox News. And then it's Tuesday on Guam, which means it's Monday back on the mainland, which means that the regular players get to be on the Fox radio today. I got Brian Kilmeade at 10, Rush Limbaugh, unless he's taking the day off at 1. And then after that, we got Sean Hannity, and then the rest of the lineup. And I don't know how much driving around at night you get to do, but if you get a chance, you always got to check out Tom Shalhoub. We got Dave Ramsey, and then Tom Shalhoub comes on, and I like Tom's show mostly. Because it's very different from the usual shows that are out there, and you can feel a little bit of a conservative bend in it. But some of the topics and the way they address these topics between him and his panel, are just hilarious. Just hilarious sometimes, and so I encourage you to listen to the program. Ken joined the chat and wanted to say that Frank is a great guy, and I got to agree. Frank that was talking about mortgages is a cool guy, and managed to take what would normally be a kind of a boring topic or difficult to understand, just makes it very, very easy to say, you know what, maybe I do have some equity in the house, and maybe now is the time that I need to take it out, whether it's for an emergency or, like I said, you never know when a great opportunity is going to come up, and somebody's going to say, dude, I'll let you in on this ground floor, 10 times return, but it's going to be 10 grand. You got to lay it on me now. Well, if you've got a line of credit coming your way because of a second mortgage, guess what? You can lay on that 10 grand, and then you will be good to go. Ka-ching, as a matter of fact. Was there something else that you wanted to bring up?
I did. Yeah, kind of going on the fly here. I told you earlier about changes in weather.
Yes.
Can we pull up the satellite picture? What's happening is the storm, pardon me.
Good question. Let me see. Can I?
It's cruising up to the north, but what's happening is we're getting what's known as a zone of convergence that's trailing off behind it to the east and southeast, and that happens to be moving this way. So Weather Service says the models are a little bit shaky on whether this zone is going to move through. But I was looking at radar earlier, a lot of rain just to the south of us. And if it does move up here, which it's likely to do as the system, by itself in the larger scope moves to the north, it's going to drag this area of convergence, this zone of convergence, along with it. Now, you've almost got it there. There we go.
Hold on a second. I got to scooch over and show where Guam is. Those of you that are watching on the Facebook or point.gu, so there it is. Guam is now in the center of your screen, along with the rest of the Mariana Islands.
And you see all those clouds down to the south.
Sure do.
That's that zone of convergence I was talking about. So if that does actually move up today, could be a lot of rain.
But that's not that's not the convergence zone, is it?
That is a zone of convergence that's associated specifically with the storm.
Convergence
well,
zone?
It kind of is.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. The intertropical convergence zone is a zone that exists year-round. It's just more active in the summer when the heat's the highest.
I just didn't realize that it went down that far south. I always considered something that was generally up above where we are, but it's down around zero on the equator. So that's what we're talking about here, is that puffiness begins.
Yeah, because we're
if
looking
the zone
at,
starts moving up, then that weather's coming to us.
Yeah, because we're right now that line of latitude that's 10 north. And then we're just above that at about 13.
Okay.
And so so if that line of convergence moves through, we could see a real rainy afternoon.
Well, how about that? So be prepared for anything, and my recommendation is just stay inside.
There you go.
Don't never go outside. You want to just wherever it is that you are most comfortable, Netflix and chill, or listen to the stream, or do something. 9:53, and there were a couple of other things that I wanted to spend some time talking about, and this looks like it might be that time, and I'm dead serious. I think we ought to find a way to get Yvonne Elliman to sing "I Don't Know How to Love Him" on Easter Sunday. Somebody's going to have this. So find the Methodists.
It could count as community service, right?
Lutherans, maybe those guys might be interested. Doesn't have to be a big room.
Right.
Solid microphone, decent sound system, and Easter Sunday. Come on, because it's Jesus Christ Superstar, and the lady that sang that song in the movie, in the play, is here. Never mind why she's here, but she's back, and there's all of that. The other conversations, and I'm going to work on doing some more math on this thing, because it strikes me as odd. The Stumbo and PD fire stations are going to be reopened. Word that we get from people is that wow, we were only out for 23 days and we managed to save $400,000 worth of overtime. Not straight pay. I mean, that's the overtime number. So imagine what they might have been able to save in straight pay on all of that. And so I annualized that. That is, I took the number and multiplied it to figure out how many of what it would be for the year. And if they remained closed, we have the potential of saving $6.34 million in overtime in the Guam Fire Department. Now, it seems to me that's a big number. It's a big number, and I'm kind of curious as to how they got to that. I mean, are those actual savings, and if they are actual savings just from closing those two fire stations with the crews that they have on them, then the question is, wow, are we talking captain level guys here that those savings are based on? And $400,000 in 23 days is a whole lot of casual, usual overtime to be generating here. And I'm kind of curious as to the accuracy of those particular numbers. So I'm going to do a little bit more homework. I did find what that is as a percentage of the general fund, and it's 16%. And I tell you what, if I was running this business and I had 16% of all of the money out is in overtime, my accountants would fire me. They'd say, "You're done. You've got some work to do here, and we've got to do something about that. It's a real drag on the company. $6.34 million. How many new vehicles does that buy? How many other payrolls would that cover?" Anyway, so let me play around with those numbers. Don't like to go half-cocked on numbers, because I apparently have done it. I got a call from my buddy Lee Weber yesterday, and I was talking about Lee's editorial and making a couple of points based on them. And he had asked in the editorial, maybe you saw it, he'd asked about the veracity of the $67 million figure. And I have been attributing that number to Joe Arnett. Mm-hmm. And so Lee said, no, you know what? I saw Joe today and said, told Joe, this is Lee talking now, he said, Ray Gibson is saying that you said that the number is 67 million. And Joe said, no, that's not right. But that's my recollection based on a story that I read where they had asked Joe about his comments. And Joe and $67 million are, I want to say, in about the same sentence in this article. And so maybe I've been misquoting him because he has been misquoted. But he said, no, he doesn't think that $67 million number is correct. And I said, is that number too high or too low? And let me just say it was interesting, his response. Because there's a lot of factors that go into this. It's not as simple as taking what we got before and trying to figure out what it is now based on the percentage of a cut. Because everything changes, a very dynamic market. And one of the things about this dynamic market that he brought up last night, and if Joe says it, then it's true. He says tourism is looking pretty good right now.
Yeah.
And I've made enough remarks about watching the Korean hot pants go by in Tumon. If you're looking for something to do later on, and that sounds good, give me a ring. So you got that, but it's late in the show. I get frisky. What? So there's that, and you know, I got comments from people this morning talking about being down around the outrigger yesterday, and the place is just jam packed. You get to that zebra crossing, and it is. So maybe the numbers are coming back. Maybe some of the additional flights are working. Maybe some of the time they're spending on Guam has gotten to be big enough. Maybe the daily spend is good. I don't know. But if Joe sees some good things coming out of that, then it's worth passing along. So that's the disclosure. That's the disclaimer. Apparently, that number should not be attributed to Joe Arnett, and we'll look and find better numbers. I got to go because it's 10 is the thing. And I think what I'm going to spend the rest of my day doing is, as attractive as the idea of watching Korean hot pants walk by in Tumon is, I think one of the other things I'm going to do is go look for places to annoy people by being 55 and older. Just signing up, get to the front of the line, get to go beat everybody.
Rev Tax is a good place to start.
No, that can get violent, man. I got to feel. I'm going to save that one for last. I'm going to say records and ID or something like that. Maybe I'll do some of that. Hey, thanks so much for listening. The radio station is KUSG Hagåtña. My name is Ray Gibson, and I'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock. You'll be here as well. Here comes Fox News.
Military bases targeted. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Multiple packages containing